Okay, let me record. Okay, we're recording.
All right, I'm just looking, I don't think anybody on the bylaws working group is here, right?
Correct.
So anyway, just so you know, there's a working group and we're working. And we're updating the bylaws and we've done it. And we're basically updating them according to resolutions that the board passed on certain open meeting requirements and the like. So if you want to review them, you're welcome to, although I take that back. You'll get to review them once they've been reviewed finally, which will be in June. So that's the update. They're going to be updated. If you have any suggestions or things you want in the bylaws, please let me know through an email, and that would be helpful. So if there's anything you feel is missing from the bylaws you'd like to have discussed for addition, now's the time, because in June we'll vote on them as amended. So that's it. Okay.
Actually, we don't vote. They just get amended based on the resolutions.
Unless there's other amendments people want. Which is a nice time to do it, if we need to say it.
All right. So with that, I think what we'll do is we'll back up and do committee reports. Let's start with you, Betty. You're muted.
No, I took it off. Actually, ours is going to be pretty straightforward. It is 3 resolutions. One of them is the one you're going to be hearing today at 125 Maiden Lane.
Okay. Do you want to describe it? Well, no, let's wait on that. I take that back. All right.
Did you get the pictures for that? Because I've forgotten I put them in the slides for the full board meeting, but they are very helpful.
I can probably get it, if you've already put it in the PowerPoint presentation.
I don't think it's on in yet.
Oh, we're sorry. Did it change?
Only committees.
Okay.
Hey.
Hi.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, Erin. How are you?
Hi. 5, 6, 7, we're almost there. These are our 4 new board members, so we'll just keep going.
Hey.
This is Mariama James. She is our co-chair of Quality of Life and sits on licensing as well as being the treasurer for the executive committee of the board. And Elizabeth Lewinson, who is our chair of personnel and serves on several committees. All right. Pat, do you want to give your update? We're doing committee updates so we get to quorum.
Sure. So we met last night. We had a a full house. It wasn't as packed as I was anticipating, but we had quite a few people there. The main topic was 105 Washington Street, which is a safe haven shelter that is going to open in June. And the operator came and spoke to us about what's going to happen in terms of who's going to live there, what services they'll offer, what kind of security they'll have, and all of the details. And the other topic was 110 William Street, which is, we've been asking them for the last 3 months. They've been doing internal construction and removing the debris on John Street, which is causing a lot of traffic backup and noise for the residents who live in close proximity. We've been asking them if there's any way for them to remove the debris on William Street. And so we've been back and forth with this for 3 months. We've asked them to come back again. But this time we want them to come back with the owner of the building. This is the construction company that we've been meeting with. We want them to come back with the owner of the building. They also, one of the proposal that they have right now is going to cause disruption to a small business that is in the building. It's a coffee shop. We'd like the owners of the coffee shop to come back, and the entity that's going to be renting the space where the deconstruction is taking place right now. So we want them to come back next month so we can actually talk about further plans and how the building is going to compensate the small business if their business is interrupted. That's it for me.
Okay. Mariama, do you mind giving the update from licensing? So you were there.
I don't remember anything particular from licensing. Anybody else there? I don't remember anything exciting.
I was there.
Or change.
We did, was it the live acts? The extended live acts for, I think it was 1 o'clock on Sundays. And then during the week, it was 3 PM. No, it was 2:30. And then 3 o'clock on Friday, Saturday. I think. They wanted 4 o'clock, but we gave them a little boost.
But there's nothing like controversial licensing this month, right? No, okay. Like, am I spacing out or?
All right,
I don't have any updates on personnel. I'm gonna get them nominating. I think we
fantastic.
want that to be the first one.
For a full board?
Yeah.
Okay, she'll be back on Monday, put you first, no problem. Do. Anything else to add for nominating?
No, we're just announcing the nominees that have sent in and no full deck right now, which is good. And then we're asking for nominations from the floor, I guess.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? Is there something else I just asked? Okay.
All right, awesome. Justine, can you, thank you for coming, because you
Sorry,
made,
I'm late.
that's okay, you just made quorum for us, so
Oh.
give your Battery Park City Committee report, because we backed it up backwards on the agenda, so we could. do
Actually
the-
have it. So I was not there, Jeff was, so all I can tell you is that I got emails from everybody telling me how wonderful it was because it ended really quickly. I think we, and that's like, Jeff should be in charge. But we only had one thing on the agenda, basically, which was asphalt green. And they were announcing and giving some more detail and depth to their program of allowing members from the Stuyvesant High School community program, a community center program, allowing members who are current members as of a date certain that has passed already, who then apply by June, I believe it was June 15th, or June 15th, but don't quote me on that because I don't recall. But apply by that date, they get free membership at Asphalt Green while the community center at Stuyvesant High School is closed for repairs. So that's nice. And I thought that was a really cool thing and good part of it. That was a combination of Craig Hudson from the BPCA and Asphalt Green really pushing for that. Craig was pushing for it. So yay, BPCA. Thank you. That's it.
Perfect. All right, so we can move to, we have two things that,
Do you want me to give any kind of report?
oh, Paul.
We're having our meeting tomorrow. So,
I didn't think of it because you're tomorrow and Alice is Monday, but go ahead.
okay, no, we're just getting updates from the Perlman Center, Hudson River Park, and Governor's Island on start of their season. And I just have a quick question. Is John Scott a new member of the board?
He is.
Ah, okay.
The board,
I
Since-
saw him there for the last couple of meetings, but I didn't put one and one together. Welcome, John.
Thank you,
so we have 4 new members on the board. Do you want to do your ABC? or-
Well, no, I mean, it would be a great meeting if anyone's interested in knowing more about the state climate initiatives. Those will be given by Assemblymember Fall's Chief of Staff. And then we will hear from NILPI, New York Lawyers with Public Interest, on their review of state initiatives. And then we will hear from Diana Sweetitalian, EDC, on the Vidai Seaport sustain plans in terms of their efforts towards sustainability. So come Monday. That's it.
And so we'll give an opportunity for the 4 board members, you might have to do it at the full board again, to just go around, say your names, introduce yourself, and you don't have to talk for long if you don't want, because I'll make you do it again at the full board. John, welcome.
Well, I was a member of the community board in 1980. I started yes, CB1. I started the first youth coordinator, the first youth committee, because at that time they said we didn't need a youth committee. I fought for it. I got it staffed. I was hiring, and with the help of Paul Goldstein, we hired Bob Townley to be our first youth coordinator. I'm currently the president of the IPN Older Adult Center.
Explain what IPN is for those. who don't know.
IPN is a development in the west of, and it's it used to be a Mitchell-Lama, it's a post-Mitchell-Lama, we have 1,300 apartments. They are getting rid of the old timers, which I'm not gonna go into detail right now. But this center, we service people from Southbridge, from Battery Park, from Tribeca, and of course, you know, IPN. And I'll have further more to say for things in the past. In the future. Thank
There
you.
you go.
My name is Vincent. I also grew up in IPN. It's I grew up there since I was 5. I'm in my 40s now. I know I look half my age, but
You look young.
yeah, Benjamin Button syndrome. But yeah, I grew up all my life down here in Tribeca. I have 2 children who are going to school in Tribeca. It's way different. And I've worked downtown all my life too as well. So been a dedicated member of the community.
Well-
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I talk.
Hi, I'm Isla. I go to Stuyvesant. I'm 17. I'm a junior. I live uptown, but I've gone to school at Sty for 3 years now. And I'm here like over 5 days a week. So I get a lot of things in the environment downtown in Tribeca. And I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome, welcome.
Welcome.
My name is Kamal Terry. I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York. I was raised there. 19 years of my life. I was in Texas for 1 year, so I'm officially 20 now. I've been working in the youth development space for 4 years now, and it transferred over into youth advocacy for 2 years. And now, you know, I think I'm really headed towards pursuing a career in politics. Right now, I'm applying to CUNY right now to get an associate's degree in communications. Some quick things about me. My 3 favorite areas of interest is faith, music, and politics. And I'm really happy to be here as well.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Question for you, curious, how come you selected this community board?
Oh, because actually how I got referred, thank you for asking that, is from Louisa Basic from Exhort Youth. So that's the building down there on 17 Battery Place. She was highly encouraging me to like apply here. She said she think I make a great fit. So that, and I also am involved with Youth Represent on 11 Park Place. So yeah, so that came up.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so I think, Betty, do you want to represent, what's going on for 125 forming Maiden Lane? Because I think we can do, does everybody have that resolution in front of them?
I'll pass it.
Yeah, thank you.
So here's, one of the quirks that we can look forward to in the executive committee. Something that's gone by revocable consent only has a much shorter comment period that the community board can opine on. Which means if it works, then if Betty's committee gets it more than 24 hours out, it's a 30-day, is it 30 days, Betty? I can't remember, 30 or 45.
Think so.
It's 30. So in order for Betty's committee to hear it and for us to pass it at full board, it has to hit within the first 2 days of the month.
Right.
If it hits afterwards, then we pick it up in executive and pass it at full board. This one hit after full board. So that means Betty's committee hears it, and by the way our bylaws are written, we approve it, what the committee did in executive, and then just the full board ratifies. The only sticky wicky about this is if the full board goes against with the executive committee, then we have to pull back our approval.
Right.
But other than that, so hence why you have this resolution in front of you. Betty, anything you want to say about this?
Actually, this is a fairly easy one. This is a condominium it's a commercial condominium, so it's not residences, it's commercial properties. And it is in FIDI. This particular, they want to do there is no resiliency project for their area. They want to protect their building. They want to Eric should know this well. They want to put up flip gates around the building in order to protect it. The flip gates will be on the sidewalk and then have a vertical component that flips up and seal directly against the building to protect it. But takes up most of the sidewalk, does the component that is horizontal. And in fact, and you see those little red dots are where there are bolts that are going in to the sidewalk. That's what they're asking for permission to put in place. They're about the size of a nickel. They are flush with the sidewalk, so there's no real concern about a tripping hazard for them. But you can see how many of them are, and you can see also how far out on the sidewalk they are. This is where the horizontal component will be anchored toward the sidewalk. If you go on another one, I think there's a picture of the flip gates themselves. Down at the bottom left. You can see the flip gates when they're propped up. So you can see whatever is between the curb and them is only a small space on two of the blocks. On one of the sides, it's a little bit bigger, but it's still not terribly negotiable. These things will pretty much take up the sidewalk, and they will make all of the sidewalk pedestrian ramps really unusable. However, all of the street features, the fire hydrants, anything like that, all the Con Ed ramps, those will all be on the outside and still be accessible to the community, and for the functional use will be in place while these are in place.
Betty, can I ask you a quick question? When you said that it would make the street curb cuts unusable, that's only when deployed, right? Not all the time, or?
Correct, only when deployed. When they are not deployed, it is just these nickel size metal pieces flush in the sidewalk. And in fact, there are buildings that already have them in place, and most, like me, didn't even notice them until I knew what they were for.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. But there is, we learned a pedestrian mobility plan, and we ask in it also to please let us know what it is. Because when these things are activated, sidewalks will not be usable. So where are pedestrians supposed to go?
Right.
Let's go around the room. Does anybody have any questions? Justine, you go first.
Thank you. Sorry. That last bit sounds really important, Betty. Shouldn't it be therefore be it resolved or further? About
I'm
making.
gonna leave that one to Tammy.
Yeah, I mean, because that's an important factor. There's going to be people who need to get access when they're deployed. You're gonna probably want to get the people who would need the access out before they're deployed, assuming there's time and blah, blah, blah.
But what they identified at the meeting was that there were public egress methods across the other side of the sidewalk. So the other side of the street, and they had a pedestrian, they did have, because we asked about curb cuts and we asked about where they would go. And the answer was, by the time these get put up, you would have that side of the sidewalk closed off, pedestrians would have to use the other side of the street.
Although let me answer that the other side of the street was something they came up with. It is not their responsibility to know that. And certainly if they also put up some kind of barricade like these, that disappears. The onus really still goes back to the DOT. And it was originally a therefore be it resolved. Tammy felt it was better as a whereas statement, so it was moved to a whereas statement. And you can see it on the resolution.
I did?
Yes, no, you had us move it.
The
I'm
last
happy to
one,
move it. Yeah, let's move it. Let's move it.
I think it was just aggregating the revocable consent with the larger DOT policy. I think that was.
Well, because there's a larger DOT policy that needs to be discussed, because this is only the one consent for the one building.
that's okay, but we can still ask for a plan, can't we?
Well, and that's what it was. It was asking originally that the DOT please make it public.
Yeah, so this way, especially people who are.
I think we move it down.
Yeah,
I like your verbiage, Betty, that the DOT make it public,
yeah,
which,
otherwise it's perfect.
oh, yeah, I'm looking at which one calls on the DOT? Five Eyes Challenge, the plan. So in the Five Eyes Challenge by Flood Race also has narrow stride streets based on pedestrian, a DOT plan for Friday that includes, is needed. So that one, which is on the bottom of page 2, one up from the bottom.
Yeah, that one,
Would,
we have therefore be it resolved.
would it be a further resolve? And ask, and instead of saying, a DOT plan for Friday, it's CB1 requests the DOT create a DOT plan for Friday that prioritizes and goes through to the end. Does that sound right, Betty?
Yeah, that's what it was, and make it public. So yeah, it was create and make public.
And make it public.
Meaning like addresses to the public, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think that's good.
With those changes, which still fit with what the committee was saying because it just moves it down.
I'll call the question.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, is there, everybody online? I see hands up. Paul, you're good?
Yes, yes. I assume the committee agreed with this.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
unanimous in the committee.
Thank you.
I'll just add also that you're gonna have a separate presentation in environment protection on this issue.
Okay, perfect, on deployables.
In general, yeah.
In general. Okay, so that was a unanimous yes for everybody who's in the room. I saw no opposition, no recusals, and no abstentions. Hearing none passes unanimously, and the office will send that off to DOT by the deadline. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Now we want to welcome the team from Chinatown Connections. Who is with us this evening?
Iris from BDC.
Come on up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need to
I-
come
I'll
up
have
to
to
the-
move over, but like you said.
It is lovely to, come on up to the very,
Oh,
very
even
front.
better. I
Yep,
love it.
come on all the way up. We have space for all of you, don't
I
worry.
love it.
You can pull up a chair, all three of you, 2 seats at the table. Yes.
You have our presentation.
Oh,
fantastic.
That look right?
Yes.
Great.
So we can switch and also we can go first.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Is there anywhere I should be speaking into
You can tell, right in front of you is that beautiful thing, the eyes are cameras and the microphone and all of the fun stuff that comes with it.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm
Running the deck, sorry.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna give a brief intro and then I'll pass it over.
Great. Word backward.
Or, yeah. Okay. I'm Haya Rizvi, an assistant vice president in planning from New York City Economic Development Corporation. We're the ones project managing Chinatown Connections, which is a project, which is made up of 3 projects that were determined through the state's DRI, or Downtown Revitalization Initiative, process a few years ago. They committed $11 million to these projects, $4 million of which are dedicated specifically to Park Row. Today we'll be focused on Park Row, but it's a bit of a different project as part of Chinatown Connections. We kind of heard that, the capital dollars that we got through the state's DRI would take a bit longer to deploy, and that improvements on Park Row are really a priority for the community there. So our colleagues at the DOT have kind of allocated some expense dollars to start a kind of a project that they can deploy more in the short term. So this presentation will focus on some changes that you'll hopefully be seeing over the next year or so, to make some streetscape improvements.
Yeah, and what is like the main mission?
We have 4 new board members. They have heard us singing now.
Well, I'm gonna turn it over to my colleagues who have a few info slides.
Let's go through the whole
Yeah.
thing, and then we'll hold questions to the end. There's a lot of information, and then, did you get the questions we sent to, there?
We have all of them.
Awesome, love that.
I went to bed actually.
Hiya.
Oh, so what about Gigi?
Gigi, couldn't be here tonight, so I'm
Okay.
here. But we work closely together.
I didn't know who you were.
That's great.
I happened to go to men's group.
Well, I'll do quick introductions for our DOT team. I was here last month, so I recognize some of you.
My name's Karen Patterson. I'm in the public realm for part of the Office of Streets at DOT. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives. I'm also joined by my colleague Eli Wu, who's the project manager for the SIP, which is a street improvement project. We'll get into the details of that later. And then also Dan Wagner, who's Director of Projects.
I'm sorry, Dan, what's your title?
Acting Director for Project Development and Delivery for the Public Realm.
And then just for everyone's understanding, the public realm is a new unit that came out of a merge. We were formerly the public space team and the pedestrian. So we are now combined, doing bigger, better projects, and also doing projects that are big scales, which all, just to like give an introduction, I'll have that in the slide.
Can you just address your relationship to pedestrian plazas in terms of your work?
Those are the questions at the end.
No, I mean, yeah, higher level question, not specifics of this project, just.
Next slide.
It's actually.
That's what I was thinking.
So like realm team really works across a range of scales, both physical and temporal. So we have 1-day pop-up plazas, and we also have at the other end of that spectrum, capitally built out projects like plazas.
Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, yeah, sorry. Do you want me to repeat that?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, okay. So our public realm team works at a variety of scales, a whole range, both in terms of physical scales, but also temporal. So for example, we work with community partners to host 1-day pop-up plazas. And then at the other end of that scale is our capitally built out projects like our plazas. And then this just gives a sample of some of the types of work that we do.
Amazing.
Then for our new members, this is just a quick overview, referring to what Haya mentioned about the capital funding and capital projects. 3 capital projects: renovating Campanile Square, beautifying the Park Road connection to Chinatown, and then creating a Chinatown Welcome Gateway. For today's presentation, we are talking about the SIP, which is a in-house DOT project. It's designed by DOT staff, implemented by DOT staff. Typically, these projects take about 18 months from design until implementation. And then for everyone's reference, the Park Row SIP is the red dashed line on Park Row, and then those additional intersections. So that kind of gives you an idea of the project limits that I will be talking about tonight. And as you can see, it spans 2 community boards.
And I'll just add before we go on from this slide is just like what I was referencing earlier as well, just to reiterate that the $4 million of capital money that's allocated to this is not going to be contributing to this SIP project that they're going to be describing today. We'll be reaching back out to the community for that $4 million to understand how that can best be used and deployed more in like the long term for a capital project.
And that money is coming from DOT expense funding.
So do you want to talk more about the gateway? Because there was questions confusing our temporary art and the gateway.
We'll talk about it when we answer the questions.
Yeah, we'll I think, yeah.
Get your questions in.
Okay, sounds good. So, street improvement project, SIP, is, as Karen and Haya mentioned, is a quicker street improvement we can do in-house at DOT. And for this project, our goal is really to improve Park Row as a critical pedestrian and bike route connecting Lower Manhattan, Chinatown, Brooklyn Bridge, and the Brooklyn Bridge arches. As you can see from the graphic on the right, there are a lot of visitors in the surrounding neighborhoods. there are millions of visitors in Baidai and Chinatown, also more than 10 million using Brooklyn Bridge.
Is that yearly?
Yes, annual number from 2019. Yes, and Park Road is this connector between Baidai and Chinatown. And as you all know, right now, it is open for pedestrians and bikes and buses. And we want to improve this connector to make sure it serves the pedestrians and bikers. And second goal is to facilitate easier pedestrian access to streets and amenities within the security zone. As you know, the security zone, which is closed after 9/11, has been installed with security checkpoints at the entrances, and many entrances are not very welcoming right now. But we also have Brooklyn Bridge arches, a high school, and residential buildings within the security zone, and they are all pedestrians using the area, and we want to make it easier for them to access the amenities. And then we want to enhance pedestrian safety on the edge of the security zone. It's St. James and Pearl Street. I will show some safety data later about why we want to improve the safety here. And lastly, we want to create welcoming gateways to the security zone. Because again, the gateways are not welcoming. I will show some pictures later of the existing. And these are some examples of the tools we use to improve the streetscape. And again, we are using materials that's quicker to implement. For example, here in this picture, it's a painted curb extension, and using edge object, you can see more clearly here the planters and granite blocks to harden the edge so that vehicles cannot get into the pedestrian space. And this is a very effective way to shorten the crossing distance at the intersections and provide better visibility for pedestrians to look at traffic coming through the intersection. And we are also going to use some wayfinding signs within the zone to improve to help people navigate through the area. And we do have a lot of security infrastructure in the security zone. The bollards are capitally built, and we are not going to be able to touch the bollards. But there are some sugar cubes and French barricades in the security zone. We can work with PD to reorganize and make it more open and accessible for people who use the street. And bike lanes, you are all familiar with, and we are also going to, for example, work with Gotham Park to do programming, help activate the space. And this is a map of the project scope we are working with. And in terms of transit options, there are 5 bus lines serving the area, and 2 bus lines are going through Park Road through the security zone. And we also have 4, 5, 6 JZ subway lines in proximity to this area we're working with. And again, just maybe it's very small for people in the back. The project scope we're working with is bounded by Park Road here, Frankfurt Street, and Pearl Street and St. James Place, this triangle area. And within this triangle area, we have many institutions and tourist attractions, neighborhood amenities, and also residential buildings like Charlton Green, Charlton Towers. And also we have your Presbyterian Lower Manhattan Hospital. So this area have a lot of pedestrian generators, and heavily used by different kinds of street users. And this is a 50 data slide I was referring to earlier. So in this project area, there are 55 injuries in total within the 5-year period between 2019 to 2023. And as you can see, there are less injuries within the security zone because currently it's closed to private traffic, private vehicle. And we see more of the injuries along Pearl Street and St. James Place, and especially at the intersection of Avenue of Finance and Pearl Street, we see the most injuries, and we are going to propose an improvement to help with address this issue. Also, another highlight is the severe injury. There are 2 severe injuries. Within the zone, there's 1 pedestrian and 1 bicyclist, and further justify the need to improve the safety for pedestrians and bikers here. And this is a recap of the outreach we have conducted since 2023. For Chinatown Connections project, we hosted virtual and in-person workshops in summer last year. Although it's for the larger capital project, we did hear a lot of requests for bike and pedestrians improvements. And for the SIP, we conducted 2 on-street workshops in April and May. During those workshops, we heard participants saying that they support the proposed improvements that makes the area safer and more accessible. And we also heard a lot of requests to address the conflicts between bikes and pedestrians. Also requests to improve bus facilities. And we understand that the community has a strong interest to learn the King Lao Square redesign update, which is the first of the 3 projects in Chinatown Connections. It's not within the ZIP scope, but we understand the interest is very strong, and we are working on those. And next, I would like to go over the existing conditions and the issues we identified in the area. So just a general map of the project area. The dark khaki color represents the painted pedestrian space, and the thicker green lines represent the 2-way bike lane, and the thinner green lines represent 1-way bike lane. The darker blue dots are existing wayfinding signs. And the first issue we identified is insufficient and unsafe pedestrian access. On Park Road, we have heard multiple complaints about the pinch point at the closed Brooklyn Bridge ramp, and you can see the picture here. The pedestrians and bikers are sharing this very narrow space at the pinch point because there is no space. There's no space for a sidewalk because of the ramp. And we know that it's not ideal because bikers are coming on from both directions, and it's for pedestrians walking in the same space with fast bikes, it feels really unsafe. And at Pearl Street and Park Road, sorry, the picture was blocked by the virtual video, but TD have parked cars in the pedestrian space and bike lane constantly, and that really block the access for pedestrian and bikers. Thank you. Yeah. So we want to make sure the bike routes and pedestrian paths are clear. So we will propose designed to reorganize this area. And on Frankfurt Street, next to Pace University, on the north side of the sidewalk, currently there are a lot of cars, PD parking next to the sidewalk, and the sidewalk itself is already very narrow. And with bridges, columns in the middle of the sidewalk, it's basically not a usable sidewalk. And in our proposal, we also will address that. And coming to the Avenue of Finance and Pro, there's narrow sidewalk and PD's barricades blocked the sidewalk as well. And on St. James Place, there's very long crossing distance, which is unsafe for pedestrians because the longer pedestrians are exposed to traffic, the easier they get into accidents. And then the second issue we identified is that the area is very confusing to navigate. So this picture shows the view when you're standing at the entrance to Park Row, and you see under the Brooklyn Bridge, it's very dark. Although there is a very small sign pointing to the Brooklyn Bridge staircase, it's almost impossible to see that from the entrance of Park Row. And a lot of tourists are looking for this staircase, and it's very hard to find. And further along Park Row, there is a very long stretch of pedestrian space, but there's no direction, no signage direction, and we want to help to get to Chinatown or get to Lower Manhattan, and this we need some kind of wayfinding space to help make that happen. And on Avenue of Finance and Madison Street, there is this very small staircase going up to One Place Plaza, but the entrance to the staircase is also hard to find. If you are not familiar with the area, it's almost impossible to know this is leading to a staircase. And the last issue is the cluttered and unwelcoming gateways. We have mentioned many times before, the gateways and the securities law are not welcoming. And these are pictures showing the entrance to Frankfurt and to Rose Street. As you can see, there are many barricades and sugar cubes blocking the pedestrian access and making it people feel that they are not welcome to use the walkway or bike lane there. And on the other side of Park Row at Wall Street intersection, there is a bike route going on the north side of the curb for bikers to go westbound, but the PD has installed a security gate blocking this bike route and forcing some bikes to go onto the sidewalk. And this also made pedestrians on the sidewalk feeling unsafe. So we will want to address this as well in our proposal. Now, finally, we are going to show you our proposed improvements. So this overall map shows the locations of interventions. The orange color represents the proposed painted pedestrian space, and the blue color represents the proposed concrete work. And the brighter green is the two-way bike lane, proposed or upgraded two-way bike lane. And the thinner green line is the proposed or upgraded one-way bike lane. And also the red dots represents the new wayfinding signs we will install in there. So before I go into each intersection to talk about the improvements, we also want to include this slide to because we are also proposing art interventions for the project. So this is through the NYC DOT funded art program. We will commission site-specific temporary art project on up to 4 proposed zip sites. And the RFQ was open between April 9th and May 5th. We have received 165 submissions. And the selection process is ongoing right now, and it will be a multi-stage process, including both internal DOT units and external stakeholders. After we have selected artists, they will be matched with the sites and start to do community engagement. And after they come up with design, the artwork will be implemented in late summer and fall. So the artwork will be looking like this. These are just some examples of the potential types of art. So a very common art you must have seen in the city, the asphalt art murals, and this can happen in a lot of the painted pedestrian space I've talked about before. And also there could be barrier beautification murals on the Jersey barriers, and there are a lot of Jersey barriers on Park Road, and the art will help make it more beautify the street and make it more welcoming. And fence interventions as well, a lot of fences, as you can see in the picture, and also another possibility is digital illustrations for signage to be installed on the light posts. So let's look at the first intersection, Park Row and Frankfurt Streets. This is a major gateway to Park Row, and we are proposing many different interventions here to make it more welcoming. First, we want to really expand the pedestrian space, and we do that through 2 ways. First, we expanded the painted sidewalk. So this smaller circle represents the existing condition, and the bigger one shows the proposed condition. So in the existing condition, you can see that the parking spaces are along the sidewalk, which is currently used by PD. But in our proposal, we will remove the PD parking so that we have more space for the painted pedestrian space. And this will widen the sidewalk and address the issue with the rigid columns and the sidewalks with divisions. And the second way to extend the sidewalk space is by setting back the fence. So currently bridges have the fence line very close to the corner of sidewalk, but we have coordinated with bridges so that, and they agreed to move the fence back so we have more sidewalk space at the entrance. And we are also working with TD to reorganize the French barricades and sugar cubes so that they are not blocking the pedestrian walkway. And new wayfinding signs will be installed here to direct tourists and pedestrians to use Park Row. And also, we also find space to add a new bike lane going north. So originally, there's only a southbound bike lane on the south curb, but because we removed the parking, so there's also more space to add a northbound bike lane to connect with Park Row bike lane here. And just to give you all the information, the removed PD parking is 21 parking spaces on the north side of the curb.
But they're not real parking spaces, are they?
It's PD parking, so it's not used by public. It's called authorized vehicle only.
Did they authorize or did they just take it?
They took it.
I didn't think it took it, yeah.
They took it under the guise that it was the police department cars to protect the bike lanes from traffic.
You understand the difference of what I'm asking?
But there was no bike lane currently.
Well, but,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, there's no sign that says authorized vehicles only. So,
I think I did. You
That-
both
that-
know.
Yeah, so everything you're saying is correct.
One question, did the police agree to this plan?
We are currently working with the police. We'll get into that at the end of the.
So, moving forward. Going further on Park Row, this is at the pinch point I mentioned before, where pedestrians are sharing space with bikers. And our solution is that we want to build and expand the sidewalk here. So we are proposing to, so what you see here is that a fence, and next to the fence is the Brooklyn Bridge off-ramp. And our proposal is to expand the sidewalk into the ramp so that bikes will use this currently shared space to the left. And a concrete sidewalk will be built into the ramp. And this is also a proposal we're working with Bridges and PD because they also have parked the vehicles on the roof.
So you're talking about the elevated ramp that is closed off from the bridge that you can't use, that NYPD parks their cars up.
Yes.
So removing the entire ramp?
No. So as you can see in the proposal here, we are proposing to expand the ramp from this the end of the original shared space. Actually, even. So just from when the curve, like about where the curve ends on the ramp, we will be expanding the sidewalk. When the ramp already is like.
Which is the
sitting on
ramp? The bottom of the circle, the black part, or
Yes.
the black line, that circle, thank you.
Is there a divider for the pedestrians and bicyclists?
So, in the proposed condition,
Yeah,
the sidewalk will be a standard sidewalk, which means it's a curve is like separated from the bike lane, and there's a 6-inch grade difference. So that's like a regular bike lane and sidewalk situation. So that naturally protects pedestrians from bikes.
I have a question. So with this proposal,
Hold on. We're just clarifying stuff, not future. We'll hold all questions. It's just about understanding the picture.
I'm trying to understand the picture.
Okay, gotcha.
So with the proposed plan, would vehicles still be able to, emergency vehicles, police vehicles, be able to come off the ramp from the bridge?
It's a decommissioned ramp that's been closed since 9/11.
I'm aware of that, but it's also a road.
It's always going to be closed, Rosa.
And they do move the cars in order to park. They do
Yeah.
drive there.
Yeah.
So that's what he's
Yes,
asking.
yes.
So, this is too small, but when you see this, black roadway here, this entrance is here. So vehicle can enter here and go through the ramp. And, for bridges, large maintenance vehicles, they can still make the turn. But for them to make the turn, that means PD cannot park along the sidewalk here. So they will be losing a few parking spaces, but the maintenance vehicles can still go through the ramp.
They have
But-
a tiny municipal lot under there.
But would they still be able to, vehicles still be able to come off the bridge in an emergency and go onto Park Row? Or will that be so narrow that it cannot fit a vehicle?
They can't go off there now.
Yeah.
They can't.
There is
No,
a,
There is a space.
there is currently a
Jersey
very,
Jersey barrier.
very heavy, Jersey
Yeah.
barrier that
Right.
is like permanently attached. I mean, with some bolts, you could always unbolt them, but like, they're not moving them in an emergency. They're not moving them. Now, they actually asked us to close it permanently. We
There's also
probably
that,
will not end up doing that, but we have to,
Who's
get back
they?
to NYCD. They
And
wanted more security.
do you have the authority? Isn't that a state?
That's the reason why we probably won't do it. Like this, it was a policeman's act request. It was not the official NYPD request. You know what I mean? Like it was somebody we were meeting with said, hey, could you build more of this? You know?
To give you, just to zoom out a little bit, because this project requires multi-agency coordination, we did a preliminary walkthrough with NYPD just to talk through some of these proposed design ideas. So he's referring to.
Right, so right now, there is no proposal to permanently close that access point, but we can take that into consideration if that is a request of the board,
Can you,
or vice versa, either way.
can you clarify what you mean by they were requesting that you take more of it? What does that mean?
Take more, build more wall, build more wall. Like right now, there's a not very permanent condition wall that is on her picture there, but that is a permanent wall, and past it, there are a series of planters. They're asking to build more wall. That is what one NYPD officer was asking, who was one of their many security experts.
I see.
yeah, basically, right now, this ramp is secured by Jersey barriers and fence on top, so emergency vehicles are not using this access point at all. And in our proposed condition, we will, because PD are using the ramp and they request to secure the perimeter, so most likely it will be just a barrier and fence again to secure the perimeter. But Dan was referring to that they even wanted more permanent perimeter. So this proposal is still under development, and there's a lot of coordination with bridges and technical details. So we are still working through this. Any more clarification for
So-
this slide?
So then, what I'm hearing, and I think you guys confirmed, is that now with this proposal, with this concrete barrier, now no vehicles would ever be able to come off the bridge and go into Park Road, right? Because that opening looks fairly narrow
Off
in the
the bridge,
proposed.
Yeah,
off the bridge going to Park Row eastbound, you can get off the bridge. Can't you going west?
Yes.
South?
South.
You can come up, the existing exit off the bridge takes you down and around only into CB1. There is no exit that gets you off the bridge anymore into Chinatown.
right.
Right.
And until that becomes opened, if it ever becomes opened, you can't do that in this condition. And, I mean, everything here is, it's just concrete. It's not, we're not, excuse the joke, but we're not building a bridge here. It's just a little bit of concrete.
Yeah, but then the drawback is that once the concrete is, formed and poured and hardened, becomes de facto permanent. Because now you'll block it off so that no emergency vehicles can ever use it, or if there's construction or a car can never use it.
No, it's only as impermanent as the closure is on the bridge part. It's the same level of deconstruction or reconstruction. It's not.
But if you're putting that concrete barrier in the proposed,
It's already there though. That's what he's saying. The concrete barrier at the top is already there to close off the exit from the bridge. And then they're removing that fencing area, right?
The painted fencing or the high fence?
The
high
fence on the right
On the right.
is moving into what is the exit lane now.
Because
Is
it's
that
not
a
an
permanent
exit,
change?
it's like trees in there, right?
I mean, it's
No,
permanent as anything.
that's an off-ramp.
Well, but I mean, to you, it's point,
No,
like,
that's
there's a
an
lot of
off-ramp.
design coordination
Okay.
that,
And I'm thinking, is it?
So it's permanent.
so. I mean, it's, you can.
It's permanent, but it still leaves a lane because the policemen want to go up in front.
Yes.
but around the loop. So basically, there will be no more vehicular access for emergency vehicles to Park Road with that new concrete.
No,
wall.
that is not true. there is currently no emergency and there, we're not changing it.
No, I disagree with that. It's a Jersey barrier, so in case they did need to move it.
No,
they-
there are 3 layers of hard barriers on the bridge.
When you're
proper.
coming down the bridge, if you think about it, when you're, I mean, we can pull up the Google photos for you, but when you're
Right.
coming over the bridge, it's completely closed off on the bridge.
Yeah.
On the Brooklyn Bridge, you can't take that exit at
Yeah,
all.
there are 3 layers of barriers actually
And
that
so what
separate
they're
from the
doing
bridge.
is,
to the ramp.
and it's, the ramp is a lane and a half, I wanna say, or
It's,
2.
yeah, it's 22 feet-ish, that's
Yeah.
about.
And so, a little bit more, and so what they're doing is they're narrowing it down, so ostensibly, if it ever did reopen for any known reason, it wouldn't be able to be wider than 1 lane, which is what they're leaving for the police to be able to drive up and park.
Right, but there's still, with this proposal, there's no vehicles could never go to Park Road, heading towards Chinatown.
From
Because-
from the bridge,
From the bridge,
from the,
from
they,
the.
they don't now.
They don't.
Yeah, they can't.
I think
No,
they-
okay.
Okay,
Now they
okay,
can.
so, look, I'll just say that part, that erecting and putting a wall, that'll make it permanent, okay? Because right now, there are Jersey barriers blocking its way, but erecting this wall will make it permanent. It's essentially going that way. It's literally,
Moving the wall is what you're thinking.
because they are moving it, that's to accommodate a wider bike and pedestrian path.
Well, or the alternative would be, let's just leave it as a sliver of sidewalk that disappears into a 2-way bike lane, and we can't actually have a safe connection.
Hold
for
on,
people
hold on,
that-
hold on, let's not argue this, it's just understanding let everybody understand the construction stuff that they're talking about.
Okay.
Keep the opinion straight, it's just whether there's access open or not, and then we'll get to the argument part there.
Yeah.
Yes, and also just to clarify, we have not determined whether this new barrier will be a wall or just Jersey barriers. And if you have strong opinion one way or another, you can state in the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Not just-
this is the next location, at Pearl Street, between Pearl Street and Ward Street.
I'm sorry, one last question, the last one.
Yeah.
In the extension of the bike lane on Park Road, this is under the SIP, right?
Person on a bike.
All of this is being done,
You mean?
guys. One conversation at a time. All of this is being done under the SIP, correct? With what you're talking about, the compliant sidewalk and the dedicated two-way bike lane.
Mhm.
How much space does that take off of the existing Park Road Street and leave?
So we are not taking the street, so the, next to the Jersey Barrier, the bus lane, we are not taking any space from that side of the street, we are only extending the sidewalk into the ramp.
So you are permanently turning Park Row into a one-lane road.
No, they're
There's a
not.
bus lane.
There's a bus lane. Oh, the bus goes two ways. The bus goes two ways. So that would still leave enough space for the bus to go two ways.
Yes, we're not touching
We're not even going.
the
Just-
space.
Trying to make sure that the
Yeah.
bus gets
The
through.
space comes from the ramp.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that makes sense. That's good clarification.
Okay, and this is between Pearl Street and Ward Street. And this is the location where PD often park their vehicles to block the bike lane and pedestrian space. And in our new proposal, we propose to have a two-way bike lane on the south side of the curb. And also adding parallel parking next to the bike lane. So this is parking protected bike lane. And this parking spaces will be, designed to be used by PD because we have seen that in the like west of Pearl Street, there are dedicated parallel parking for PD and they are behaving. Like they park their cars in the dedicated space instead of parking in the bike lane. So we designed the parking spaces next to the bike lane to provide spaces for everyone to satisfy multiple stakeholders' needs. And then this also helps with the Frankfurt parking because we are taking away many parking spaces from PD and this helps to offset that parking lots.
Let's go back one.
And yes, and the reason to have a two-way bike lane on the south curb, I will explain at the slide. This is at Park Road and Ward Street intersection. This is where I mentioned before the bike route on the north curb was blocked by PD security gate. And there's no way to undo that security gate. And the only way to provide a westbound bike lane is to consolidate the two-way bike lane on the south curb. So we have the two-way bike lane on the south curb, and we want to keep the bus stop where it is right now at Park Road and Oliver Street. So we are building a bus boarding island next to the bike lane.
Which
to
side?
accommodate that.
Which side is it gonna be on, the bus stop?
What do you mean?
Us.
Could you just point up there where the bus stop will be, like where people will wait for the bus?
Oh,
Yeah.
people will be waiting on the bus boarding.
And the bus would be on the concrete with the arrows right there.
Yes, so the bus will be, this is the roadway and the bus will be using it.
What's in the middle? What's the white in the middle?
The stripe?
No, that one, above the,
Oh,
in the
this is
middle,
In the middle.
the island, that island,
existing concrete median.
got it.
Security. would be-
Yeah, this, as you can see in the existing condition, there's already a concrete median.
Yeah, just.
So you're moving the bus stop off the curb to accommodate
The bike lane.
the bike lane. Is there a protected bus stop there?
In front of the pizza place.
What is
There's
it
a bus
protected
stop.
about?
So the bus shelter.
Oh, no.
Pretty sure has the right, oh no, that's
No,
for
it
the
only
restaurant.
says
They still
Well,
go under the-
can the island that you're creating for the bus stop include any kind of canopy? And as long as we're asking.
I don't think I've ever seen that. However, we will check. We are currently proposing, it's not shown here, so I'll share it. We are looking into like something like leaning bars. So like, those are where you basically can stand against them. It's a little bit of a respite. It's better than what's out there now. But it's such a detail that we didn't even bring into this.
Based on the proposal, with the bus picking up passengers, can a car go by the bus while it's picking up passengers, or do you have to wait for?
Only for buses.
No.
At this
It's
point,
one
cars
lane.
don't drive there.
The cars do drive on Worth to Oliver.
Oh, right.
That goes
So I'm
straight,
just curious if there was any traffic in Park Road.
that goes straight service.
Can a car go past the bus as the bus picking up passengers?
So are you saying if Park Road is reopened, what happened? So this can be all reconfigured when capital project happens.
Reconfigured. Reconfigured from the proposal.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, next person, let her hand up. And this is gonna be the last one before she goes to the next
Yeah, I
slide.
just want to point out that at that spot where you plan to put in a bus bowl, there are already benches where people waiting for the bus can sit. And I don't believe we need to build that bus bowl because the sidewalk is very wide there. And nobody uses it, no cars are.
They're putting the bus station out there because they're adding the bike lane. So you can't sit on the bench to wait for the bus.
Because that's where the bike lane.
Because the bike lane will be immediately in front of you. You can, but then you're gonna have to kind of hip hop across the bike lane to get to the bus and hope that you don't get hit by that.
So you're adding a sidewalk, not cutting away the sidewalk for the bike lane, that's where I'm confused.
They're cutting away the street for the bike lane.
So we're removing a traffic lane is what I'm concerned about.
On which?
So to clarify, so currently Park Road is closed for traffic, right? So it's only PD vehicle that uses Park Road, so.
And buses. And emergency
Yes, yes.
vehicle.
And that's why buses are only private. Yeah.
But
Right,
Worth Street.
But hold on a sec. The point I think that we're hearing is if there is an emergency vehicle who is transversing Park Road, which does happen, not as much because it's a pain in the butt to get the gate up and down, but if an emergency vehicle is going and there's a bus there, they're not moving. They have to wait for the bus. And that is a concern for people. Did I understand that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay, And then the other thing, the justification in question is gonna be, there's a temporary rerouting of a bike route right now, that's 1 block away from here, south, on St. James.
Yes, so it will be.
So now that'll be 2 sets of brand new bike lanes in this area
The other one's temporary.
for 2 years to 3 years during the course of this entire thing as well.
Yes.
But just to clarify, that's just Sharrows. Sharrows meaning that it's not a dedicated bike lane, it's just riding bike next to cars. And I think if people, most people ride bikes will agree that they prefer to ride on protected bike lanes instead of vehicles.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
No, are you sure that it's not protected? Only because the
Yes.
presentation we got was a little
It's
different.
it's Sharrow. Basically, they only put markings on the street and nothing else changed on the street.
Okay, thank you.
And, okay, one more thing, I would like to mention, so we're also proposing a new public safety area. Next to the pizza place here, so this area, sitting area will be maintained by Chinatown Fit. And then we are coming back to the Frankfurt Street side, at the Rose Street entrance. So this is also an entrance where there are a lot of French barricades and sugar cubes. Similarly, we are working with PD to reorganize this area and expanding the sidewalk with a painted pedestrian space. And on the north side of the sidewalk, again, we're adding this northbound bike lane. This new bike lane start from Rose Street to Park Row, which I have shown in a previous slide. And for the southbound bike lane, in the existing condition, it's not protected. And in the proposed, we are going to have a protected southbound bike lane. But to make this protected southbound bike lane, we removed 7 authorized vehicle-only parking spaces currently used by controller's office.
I'm confused.
Um,
Can you go back a little bit? That's a little.
About the parking or the bike lane?
It's a little funky start to the bike lane because you're pushing people into traffic and then pushing them back out. You see where that little.
You mean here?
Yeah.
So this area, as you can see, there are existing gravel space already in the existing condition. And the gravel is very hard to remove. And the bike lane, green paint doesn't go on top of the existing gravel. So we are proposing to have bike stamps on the pedestrian space with centers and objects separating pedestrian.
Super confusing, but like, where are they coming to get there from there? It just sort of seems to start from nowhere. What's the long-term plan
Yeah,
for that?
so
It
there-
just doesn't seem to make any sense. I'm
There
sorry.
is a longer term plan. This, we are working with our colleague who's working on the bike network, and this is their request that they are working on a longer term plan more comprehensively to fill in the gaps within the area to connect all the bike.
We'd like to hear what that's about and where that's going.
Who is the colleague?
Yeah.
There are our bike units.
At the DOT, bikers on top.
So we'd really like to hear from them to understand, because if you're putting it in here, then there are plans that are certainly afoot and further along, if this is gonna be part of the SIP, right? But this is a permanent part.
Well, and for the meantime, it connects from eastbound Gold to left. There's Sharrows.
Okay, cool. We'd still like to make that an official request to have.
Great.
Are the green circle streets?
Those are the planters.
Planters.
Yes. Yes, so the planters we propose here also trying to prevent, potential parking in the area, and that will really fit the purpose of creating more pedestrian space. And the next intersection is Rose Street and Avenue of the Finest. At this intersection, very straightforward, we're proposing 3 painted curb extensions. These are all opportunities for DOT art, and also proposing a wayfinding sign on the fence, of the PD fence next to the walkway to the staircase to better guide people to use the staircase.
So can you just go back 1 second? Got Gotham Park where you put Arches Brooklyn Bridge Plaza, that's the Gotham Park section, correct?
Yes. And next is the Pearl Street and Avenue of the Finest. This is where the safety data slide with the highest number of injuries. And we are proposing to improve the safety here by adding concrete curb extensions. So the concrete curb extensions will help shorten the pedestrian crossing distance, and also adding concrete pedestrian island on Avenue of Finest, again, help to shorten the crossing distance. And also this markings treatment will clarify the space for pedestrians versus for vehicles.
Can you describe this space you've created here, as an example with the chevron orange things and the circular blue oval center?
Okay, so the
Here, but just, wherever.
here,
Yeah.
so
just
the
curious what that is.
yes, so if you compare the existing and proposed, the new concrete area is the blue outline with the blue shades. This is a new concrete curb extensions, and also new concrete pedestrian island. And the yellow markings is just separate, like making vehicles aware where the travel lane is. So this blue dots are the.
One PD closed off.
Yes, it is only PD access.
Yeah, there's security at the top left of her circle, but technically you could drive your own car in there and do a UE or something if you wanted to.
And but you said that's the area where the most incidents happen.
Not that
Police are
side,
coming out.
whole-
Is that what I heard?
not that.
Sorry,
These are yellow, these are just yellow painted things on the screen, and there's these 3 blue dots, what do those represent?
Those are the existing security bollards installed by, we're not proposing any new bollards, those are existing.
And there's nothing being done on the left side there, that shaded area that you have?
This
There's,
area,
yeah,
so south of this intersection, we know a lot of people complain about it, and it's a dangerous intersection, we are aware. And this, like, we do have a planned improvement included in a different contract, so that's a longer term.
She's referring to a bridges, DOT bridges capital contract that, these bridges are 150 years old. They're always gonna be under maintenance. One of the next maintenance contracts is going to address that, so it's outside the scope of the city proposal.
Given that we have so many accidents in that area, what's the timeline for, or priority level for that specific work?
I mean, it's a high priority. It's just, like, we have to finish the current contract before we can get to the next one.
Okay.
I see that on the bottom right side where there is 4 different intersections. I see that you took off the marking for the far right, indicating that you're about to make a right turn. So I'm just wondering, have y'all thought about if y'all did that there's going to be a lot of cars in that last intersection?
So you mean here, the, well, the.
Yeah.
So, Yes, yes, so currently PD parked vehicles on this right turn lane. And we also collected traffic volume data at this intersection to see if the traffic volume, what the traffic volume looks like. And our result is that, given, like currently it's already not usable and the current volume we can accommodate the volume with one.
You can or you cannot.
We are able to.
Isn't that the exit from northbound FDR?
Yep.
So we did, we went through and studied and we found that is never an operating dual right. There's always parked cars there. So we are reflecting the current condition with the proposal.
And so where are the parked cars gonna go? Because it's kind of like water in a
Nowhere.
storm.
Gonna stay there.
And so in the proposal, that's what he's pointing
In the
out.
proposal, you're leaving the parked cars there.
And there's no right turn? Or there's just
So
no-
you're, hold on, so you're providing a location for the illegally parked cars to now be legally parked?
Yeah.
No, we're not changing anything about the parked cars. They are not supposed to be there but they will be there. They are all NYPD placard cars. What we are doing is we are formalizing an existing condition to maximize benefits for pedestrians.
And provide an opportunity to now make that fully placard parking legal.
Yeah, then whatever you would like it to be.
Well,
I don't know that we can convince the PD to behave. That's sort of another conversation entirely, but
and what do you anticipate with the rise of, with congestion pricing, where they said that there would be more cars that would come off the FDR Drive at this location? Because they said that there would be a higher instance of traffic flow coming in this way. So do you have any data yet? Are you studying that as part of the traffic study, this intersection? Post congestion pricing started?
I mean, we have done our traffic study. I can look into whether or not it included that piece of information or not. I don't have that with me, so we have to get back to. But we can look into it
Okay, done the traffic study?
He's talking about for the SIP.
for the right turn.
There's the
The right turn.
allowed traffic study,
Right.
which is separate than this. He's talking
Right.
about
I'm talking about
this specific intervention.
Okay.
double right to single right conversion study.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm looking at Google Maps. There are no cars parked in that street along Robert F. Wagner.
That's the side of
They,
the house,
Yeah, on Smith.
Google erases cars. Google Maps. Google
Okay.
Maps. Yeah.
Should walk over there.
You should be careful with that. I mean, you
I'll
drop
I'll
down.
defer to you on that, okay.
Can I just make a suggestion? That corner, you gotta fix the drainage in that corner because there's a constant puddle there that you either have to do a 10-foot leap of faith trying to cross it, or you're walking in the street, and that might explain a lot of the accidents.
We would love to hear exactly where you see this. Can you, like, where's this phone?
It's right before the entrance to the bridge.
Yeah.
To Southbridge. Can you point to it? I'm up in the point.
Yeah.
you're talking about the on Pearl Street itself?
Oh, the on-ramp that goes up to the Brooklyn Bridge, if
Right.
you're going towards Brooklyn, I drive through it all the time.
Right.
Yeah,
Is it-
yes,
You
yeah.
walk in, I maybe tried to get my feet wet, jumping 10 feet, which I can't do
Yeah.
it on,
South of
or
the.
walk in the street.
It's south of this whole diagram.
Yeah.
It's actually on the, what I guess would be the left side, past the actual bridge anchorage itself,
Another problem.
and it's going.
Close to Frankfurt.
Yes.
Frankfurt, yes.
Right, again, that's all part of that Brooklyn Bridge next maintenance contract. Should hopefully be addressing.
Thank you.
And the next two intersections are kind of similar in treatment. So as Pearl Street and St. James Place, we're proposing painted curb extensions with edge objects, meaning the granite blocks and planters to prevent parking in the pedestrian space. And again, this pedestrian space provide opportunity for art, so making the entrance more welcoming and clarify the access to the sidewalk and pedestrian space within the security zone.
Are you creating a new security zone there? I see with that blue thing,
No, those are all existing.
and they have the French barriers on either side, don't they, at that point?
I think they're permanent bollards in the sidewalk. They can put up French barricades if they want, but they don't need them. It's very like secure.
Yeah, we are not proposing to add any security infrastructure here. Actually, our goal is to minimize them. And the last intersection at Madison Street and St. James Place, proposing to add painted curb extensions with planters and edge objects. This helps to shorten the crossing distance and opportunity for art. And at this intersection, we also propose to add a signal timing improvement for the crosswalk on the east. So crossing the Madison Street. This for pedestrians using this crosswalk, they will have a 7-second lead time before the vehicles turning to the right from like northbound to the right.
I have a question on that one. The M15 makes the turns. Was it considered how the articulated buses will navigate
Yes.
that turn?
Yes, so for all of our designs, we have run the auto turn to make sure the buses can operate smoothly.
And it looks very tight, and though it fits the model, there's always obstructions. It's never exactly, does it include sufficient leeway in case something is obstructed?
We believe so, yes.
And there isn't any bike lanes on there, right? Like, oh, bike traffic, I should say.
So actually, you can see this are the temporary reroute sharrows. These sharrows, these are all for the reroute and not a formal bike thing.
And so that's only for the, during the duration we are rebuilding, having to rebuild the project.
It's for the rebuilding of the underneath the FDR drive, or the east side of the building.
Okay, see, it's temporary.
I used to drive a bus. I can tell you that you can't make that turn without blocking the Madison Street heading west. There's no way. I'm just telling you, when it makes a turn, it'll interfere. It'll have to have the Madison Street westbound. They have to stop like maybe 20 feet earlier so that they can make a wide turn.
We will double check it.
I'd be particularly concerned when we're talking about the build out, when you have a temporary bike path, you're narrowing the street. It's already a really super congested intersection with cars. It's very difficult, and cars do go there because Park Row is closed. And it is the main way, St. James is the only way to get to Chinatown from down here, unless you're coming around the top through work.
That's right.
So I want to see ways that you can certainly improve the pedestrian way, but I am concerned about the narrowing of St. James, which is already quite a narrow street. And it looks like you're getting rid of some of the, I think there's parking on one side of the street, or both. There's parking over there, isn't there?
Cops park all over there. The people from Smith are always complaining that they've lost every single spot, all throughout there.
But I mean,
It's police.
can you talk about if you are removing commercial parking because there's a supermarket over there and there's other businesses over there? Are you removing commercial parking? What's going on in this zone?
There's this bus stop at the corner, right? As you're driving north towards Madison on the right-hand side, I believe that's all a bus stop. That's the M15 station stop, or is it to the right?
That's correct. And then at the next The
Yeah.
next block is on the corner is the supermarket that she's talking about.
Yeah, to the south. Yeah, yeah. So that's the previous slide. Yeah, this one.
So what I'm trying to understand is what kind of commercial parking, changes might be happening
So
on.
we are actually looking into improving the commercial parking condition.
Mhm.
We are struggling, as you would guess, with the NYPD placard
Yeah.
use of that space. For the moment, we are trying to connect the pedestrians to the market through a curb extension here with some vertical elements so people cannot park in it, so that way it can remain open to the pedestrians. After that, we are open to hear some suggestions.
We got done with the presentation.
We should get.
Let's finish.
I mean, there's so many things over here with James Madison Plaza.
We can go back.
And the issues for accessibility for commercial deliveries, parking, people, access, that it's.
To pick up for even people, because how do you carry your groceries? I mean, come on, guys.
And then CB3 has to be involved in that conversation.
They are, they're presenting to CB3.
All
All right, hold on, keep going.
CB1 doesn't use the groceries.
So, yeah, they're close to the finish. So,
Hold on, guys.
They should have a
no,
primary set.
we already looked at the.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Space.
From Smith, they live there.
And just to summarize, overall, this project will improve pedestrian and bike access to Park Row. For example, by reorganizing the French barricades and expanding the pedestrian space, bike space. And it will create welcoming gateways, especially at the major entrances to the security zone. And we will improve wayfindings through adding more visible wayfinding signs throughout the area and provide safer and shorter pedestrian crossings through the painted curb extensions and concrete curb extensions. And this treatment will also help to calm vehicle turns, which helps to improve overall safety for all the street users. And next steps, we are conducting ongoing community engagement and agency coordination. As I mentioned before, we are working with PD and Bridges to make the project move forward. For the ZIP implementation, we will start concrete work, markings, and wayfinding signs installation in summer 2024 this year. But we do have a potential second phase in 2025, especially for this Pinch Point location. As I mentioned, we propose to expand the sidewalk into the ramp, and this is a bridges ramp, and they require more technical details, and we are working through that process. This may delay this particular location's implementation into next year. And for DOT Art, the design and engagement will be in early summer 2024. After that, the implementation installation will be in late summer and fall this year. And this is the end of the presentation.
Perfect. Can you go back one slide? This one's a good one to look at too.
Yeah.
So where,
This
see this one?
shows the Jersey barriers and some planters belongs to TP that blocked the
Right.
outlet.
Can you go back one more slide now? So what you're talking about is where we see that NYPD van parked on the other side of the fence. You're moving the fencing and everything to the other side of the van. Does that make sense?
Pretty close, yeah.
And how far?
We're moving it to the right. We're gonna create a 10-foot wide sidewalk. So from the curb that you can see 10 feet over, so I don't know, what is it?
10
8?
feet to the right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10 feet,
so
right,
if
so
I'm-
then it's 6, 7, or 8 feet maybe.
And then the.
So then,
Go ahead, sorry.
so then the bicycles will have that straight path, and then from the curb to approximately halfway through that police vehicle that's there will be all sidewalk.
Yeah.
Great. That I understand, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Can you go back to St. James Place, because I am a little yeah,
Why is
I
it
am.
gonna- But
We'll
Sammy,
go
why
around
is it gonna stop at the, where the dam was? Why won't the
Because
sidewalk?
they're only,
No.
I'm saying it goes 10 feet, but that's the width.
Yeah, but
The
then you.
lighting will go all
Oh,
the
it'll
way.
go all the way
Yeah,
through like
yeah.
that way. Okay, sorry.
All right, so if you can go back, because St. James Place does have parking and has cars on both sides of the road. It's kind of even with what they have now, sort of a 4-lane road. But I'm really concerned before we understand what you're proposing on any of the intersections to understand how this is gonna affect the commercial deliveries and the parking. And I say this only because every single point that we look at, parking for deliveries for the businesses are being taken up by outdoor dining and other opportunities. So we really want to make sure that whatever we're doing enhances the environment, but does not kill the small businesses or the large businesses. And as we know from the placard parking that we have, it's just, there's a lot going on in the 3 blocks that start from where the bridge are going all the way up here. So before, I'm a little dismayed that we don't actually have that kind of granular detail to understand what you're talking about, because we would really like to know to ensure that the businesses are not gonna get squeezed out. I mean, Smith, no. You've got a cleaner there, you've got a diner there that was permanently closed from COVID, but that doesn't mean that another restaurant isn't gonna open up and take that space there. So, and that's in one of the right turn lanes off of St. James that we're now looking at being shared, so really
Right.
understanding.
Right, so the proposal doesn't actually change anything along that east curb, the right-hand curb, except for at the intersection, which is only, 10 feet of space. So I guess that's a half.
2 cars.
Example, 20 feet for 1 car, so that's a half. So there are no such things as half cars, so 1 car. And then another spot on the other slide at the supermarket where there's crosswalk that we would like to enhance in some way, so that way it can be a little more protected from vehicular blockage.
But how much traffic flow are you cutting down? It looks like it's down to 1 lane.
No, so
Barely.
the proposal keeps all of the moving lanes on St. James exactly as they are today.
This is St. James.
St. James.
Which is St. James, sorry.
On this point.
I'm talking
It's just-
about Pearl Street then.
No, which is, I'm looking at the intersection of St. James and Madison, right, or Pearl and Madison, if you wanna.
Change this slide.
I just can't tell.
Right, so you've got to the right here where it says painted curb, if I remember correctly, that's all Smith House right there. Right, and so there's the playground that's on the corner there and the green space, so you're just taking out car spots to build out for that corner on the east side, right? The west side, the northwest, you can't do anything because there is a bus shelter there. I get that. And then on the the left side, which is where a lot of the retail is, that goes around Chatham Green, the back of Chatham Green, where the Rite Aid Pharmacy and other things are there. That's also a security zone with bollards.
Well, right, it used to be. That's one of the businesses that got killed, even though it's a large corporation.
All right, so just so, thank you for understanding, to help me understand everything that's going on there.
I have similar concerns
I'm
to
gonna
you,
go-
but about the Worth Street.
We're gonna
one.
go all the way around.
Okay.
So, we're gonna start with Mariama, and after Mariama, Justine, after Justine. Alice.
Alice should be first.
Alice, I thought you were just giving me direction. Go ahead,
No, I'm
Alice, you
still
go
thinking
first.
people would want to have.
You go first,
questions
and then we go to the public.
asked and answered. So I have a couple of broad questions, a very significant question on behalf of the work that we do at the department, at the Environmental Protection Committee. I don't hear anything about resiliency. I don't hear anything about what exactly you're doing in terms of making these circuits resilient. What is the department doing? How are you working with DEP, if at all, in their green infrastructure program? Are there rain gardens being considered in these large, very large scale, what looks like concrete? I'm hearing new walkways and such. is this determined as the final analysis of what could be used as materials? Or will there be some greening of these areas besides these potted plants? Can you address that a little bit?
I'm happy to. I don't know that you're gonna love this. The answer is that all the things you're mentioning are part of larger capital projects. DEP can build rain gardens, DOT cannot. The materials that we're using are the materials that the DOT has as a toolkit. If the DOT were to develop a permeable asphalt, then we would incorporate that into the SIP. But for the moment, we're utilizing the SIP material, the in-house materials that we have at our capacity. And frankly, all of the concrete we're proposing is already on non-permeable space. So we're not actually impacting any, we're not increasing impermeability in any way.
Don't you think though, just sort of off the record, that this would be something that the department should really be looking at very carefully in terms of resilient types of paving, rather than thinking about painting it with art programs, which is basically your art program consists of painting streets. Is that right? There's nothing three-dimensional about this. These are two-dimensional painting.
Well, we do, within this project, we are not proposing three-dimensional
So
sculptures.
the point being is, I'm just a fine idea, whatever, that aside, I do think there should be some sort of commitment and work towards making these areas resilient. I mean, here you are pulling up, adding things, you're saying you're adding to impermeability. This is a huge legend concern of New York City and the world at large, you know?
No, I'm saying I'm not adding.
No, but there's nothing that's being changed. In other words, the materials themselves, your toolkit sounds rather limited, if I'm understanding you correctly.
One can argue that it's limited. One can argue that it is the best toolkit in the country.
So so the asphalt here and what's used is better than anywhere else? Is that what you're?
No, what I'm saying is, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that the fact is that a city Department of Transportation anywhere else in the country cannot do any of this. They have to do funding, they have to find the funds, they have to do all the work, and it takes so much longer. The fact that we have the budget to be able to do any kind of rapid response improvements is incredible.
But this is valuable feedback that you're providing, because you are asking if there is a more robust greening tool that can be added to our SIP toolkit. And that is something that we could bring back to our agency.
And but also just, you look at these, you look at every one of your diagrams, and you can imagine if they were painted green. In other words, if you saw them with grass or some sort of green, it would measure completely different literal landscape and sensibility to these areas, which would be the beginning of really a great contribution to the city and in this neighborhood. So I really hope that gets filtered into the thinking as you go forward. I, really hope so. Anyway, that's kind of the major sort of high level thing I wanted to say. Thanks.
Truly affecting the concrete jungle and turning it into something more.
Yeah, I just, and I have to add to that, like e-battery store, we talk about the deliveristas, will there be battery storage, hubs in these areas? Will there be bike stations? Are you working with City Bike or whoever to add places where people will actually get on these bikes? That we're not putting putting these things, are there additional ones, where are they? And I would just say lastly, is the presentation, such a hard thing to do, and it's excellent, but it would be really helpful if you had more drawings, any three-dimensional photographs. I assume they're models, if at some point there are places in public that people could see the actual models, because it takes a really advanced group, and I am an architect, and even I am having a lot of trouble reading these plans. So I would just say in the next iteration, that would be swell if it could be beefed up a little bit. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Mariama, you're next.
So going back to the type of concern that Tammy described, I have with regard to St. James, I have similar ones on Worth. So Worth has been under construction, probably from around Columbus Park, all the way to Greenwich over the past 10 years, and it's going to continue to be. Different parts at different times. DDC projects are all up and down Worth. That's one thing. Also, the businesses that are there have suffered many, many years. I had a friend that owned the one right on the corner, been gone, and nothing ever was able to sustain itself in that space since. And you're talking about now, we also, Worth Street is compromised because of the jail too. the deconstruction and all that, things get moved over there. Now you're talking about adding a lane and a bus thing and a whatever. There's already traffic that has to go. Are you also considering at the same time congestion pricing? I'm telling you, I'm paying $20 to get over there. I don't want to be sitting stuck in between a bus hub and a thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that has to be worked together, and it doesn't seem, maybe I'm just looking at pictures, like maybe it's all being considered simultaneous, but I would ask, is it? And if you've thought about how you're gonna mitigate these situations, about people being able to get down Worth Street. We have members of this board actually that live on Worth Street that are like physically traumatized from all the construction that's been going on Worth Street over the past decade. So.
You almost flipped the board.
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. So it sounds good, but you know, in a way, and when you look at it on the paper, but it's also kind of scary to those who have lived here and have seen what happens when we're in real time with cars that need to get down the block and people that need to be able to get down the block. That was also Worth Street, was also where the crane came down. You know, that's how, you know, there's a lot.
Justine?
Thank you so much. So on this slide, first question, or first issue is, so you've got the bikes zooming past and you've got people having to come to run to catch a bus across the bike lane. It seems like to me that that is
There's
not,
too much going on.
I mean, again, I don't know how many
Traffic, well, the question you're asking is there
The
traffic
traffic signal.
control
control or
to
signal.
stop the bicyclists when a bus is approaching?
I mean, yeah, good luck
Currently,
with
there's-
that one, because people don't necessarily stop.
Already, there's 2 police officers that stand
They don't do anything.
right there at Park Road and
You know,
Worth Street.
and Worth
And
Street.
yeah, and
Let's let
I
the
admit,
planners
but
answer the
I got
question.
more to say, so
Mhm.
let me go.
So currently, this is a signalized intersection, and even for this crosswalk, there are signals,
Okay,
pedestrian signals. And for bikes, if there are bikes crossing this intersection, they will not go at the same time as the pedestrian goes, right?
except if there's a bus that they're trying to catch and they have to run and get the bus. I mean, again, we're in the same place as you're throwing your hands up, and I agree with you, just like the placard parking, what are you gonna do?
Actually,
Yeah.
here's,
My answer
here's,
might be is pick the,
no, here's my question. If you went with your existing plan, is there a way to put the stop for the bicyclists, much like we talk about with Ed and everybody else when we're looking at evaluating ways to improve pedestrian safety up by the Canal Street and Holland Tunnel and pulling the stop line back for cars? Is there a way to do a required stop for bicycles shy of the crosswalk? Because this
Yeah.
goes straight up. So the question is, could you 5 feet back, put a required stop
yeah,
when a bus is coming? Is there some kind of technology that you have that you can look at to do that?
Why don't you just put a stoplight?
Hold on, let
well,
him
no,
answer.
I think there
Let
is
him answer, Vincent.
what they said.
Not that I know of, but I can look into it. I can ask our bicycle and our transit development is the name of the group that
Right.
it's basically buses. I can ask those 2 groups if they have any text, but we, not yet. I mean, right now, the proposal is that the bikers see a red light and they're supposed to stop. They see a green light, they're supposed to go. It's the same as.
we know that's not how.
But yeah, that's not how.
But my question is, can the red light, green light, 1, 2, 3 be 5
Things
feet
have to go
further
away.
back from the
But it's also
intersection?
true.
With
But
notes
they're-
that
but
says,
they're allowed.
you know,
Tim, an idea, say bikes stop here on red, and
Correct.
then you pull it 5 feet back, so maybe
Exactly.
they'll stop, maybe they won't,
Yeah, we-
maybe they'll slow down to read it, I mean, that
Yeah.
might be, and it's just paint, you know, words.
exactly,
It's a sign.
it's a sign,
Paint it on the
it's
board.
but you would also have to, you would have to paint the floor, John. Hang on. You'd have to paint exactly what we're saying, the stop here.
Okay, so,
For a bicyclist 5 feet shy of the crosswalk to try and get. As long as it's new, let's try and train a new direction of
yeah,
potential pedestrian safety.
But does there have to be a new, at this time, thing on Worth Street?
well,
This,
Like right now?
it's,
Yeah, I don't know, that's a good question. So that's what you're.
It's not Worth technically.
it's really
Park
Park
Row.
Row.
It's Park Row.
It's Park Row, it's not Worth.
Worth is up and down.
Worth is the one that goes from east to west.
Yeah.
And they meet there. You're talking about that
Right.
intersection where people need to
No,
come
but
and
it's
either
not
go
the
straight
shore.
down Worth or
But,
right
but
to the barrier.
Mariana, the bike lane and the stop that they're talking about is technically on Park Road.
It's not
It's
messy.
that big intersection, but it's on the Park
before
Road
it
side,
gets to
where the police barricades.
Barricades are, yeah.
So further
Yeah,
down.
it's further in.
So
Not-
if you were coming down Park Road.
Not as far as the
it's to
pizza
right.
place.
It's to the right, it's not on Park Road, it's to the right on Park.
I mean, it's
If
not on
if
Worth.
you're coming down Worth, I apologize, to that intersection, it's Park Road on the right.
On the right,
This
yes.
is the pizza place, if you remember.
Yeah, that's where
It's in
the,
there.
Yeah.
remember the gun place used to be, it's that little low rise
That's-
building.
This is here.
Yeah, that's where.
That's the
Low-rise
pizza
building.
place. The Wills had the car.
This is, the entire neighborhood
where they're.
has not been able to sleep because of the protesters there
Yeah.
and there's no enforcement. Now they want to build out the sidewalks so more people can, gather there, which is what we're strongly objecting to. It is right in front of our window all night long. The steel barricades have been banged against our fence. There are horns, all kinds of, objects have been blown, and we can't.
Except on Wednesdays.
Yes. So this is not good. We don't want that sidewalk built out. We don't need a bigger platform for protest.
Well, and then, okay, so if I can finish,
All right.
yes. I
Yeah,
finished my-
go.
So that was one question, was getting some idea about that. Second thing is, and this is just a, you don't have to answer me, but for the sidewalks only, permeable pavers. It's just the sidewalk. You can't do it on a bike lane, because you need it straight and flat with asphalt or whatever the hell it is. But the sidewalks, you might look into that. That's an aside. So permeable pavers for that. But then my biggest thing is, I am someone who actually wants Park Row open for cars. I think that there's a big push for able-bodied people to be able to walk and bike. And you know what? You kind of need to be able-bodied to ride a bus. Yes, everything is difficult and made more difficult. Some people need their cars or need to have taxis or Ubers or whatever to get from point A to point B, number one. And then number two, this is a statement, just saying it, I think it needs to be open for the businesses to come back. Businesses have been dying and Chinatown has been dying because of the disconnect. You're not gonna get enough people to walk through that area or bike through that area from south of Chinatown to connect to Chinatown. It's just not happening. This will not do it. And I love the fact of making it nicer for the people who do use it. That's all great. And but for the concerns we're having, but I really think it needs to be open to cars. Thank you. Public cars.
Thank you. Next, Eric.
Everything she said. I have a bicycle, I have a car, and I love mass transit. But this focuses only on pedestrian and cyclists. The DOT needs to focus on all modes of
And also
transportation.
there's a lot of tourism that gets the benefit of this, not the actual people that live here.
But we're also talking about supporting the businesses, which the
But they're not
tourism
gonna
is
get
actually
there.
gonna help. Why would they not?
We've always had tourism.
Okay, I'll talk when it's my turn.
Thanks. So please, you gotta focus on those other things, not just those only two things. DOT should be all modes of transportation. It's easy to make a road safe by closing it to vehicles, narrowing it, but you gotta think about passenger flow and movement of people and commerce. So, some of these proposals here, I didn't think were necessary, especially the ones where, like, the one on Pearl going up. It's the one. It's
Avenue of the Finest.
Yes, where it's already closed off to vehicles, only the police use it. So they don't use, not many vehicles come, so I don't see the need for having wider sidewalks in that area. If it's just the
Pedestrian safety.
but there's not many vehicles using it, because it's only us can use it.
They want to separate the bikes from pedestrians. That part I make sense,
All right.
but you still
Eric,
have
do you have a
cars.
question?
Yeah, so
You have a question, because we do have others.
my question, or actually it's a comment, question, will this have resiliency built into it, not environmental? Or in case we have construction on a road, or a disabled vehicle or an accident, the people need to move. So is that put into your modeling to have capacity for construction unplanned or planned? So that we don't have gridlock in Lower Manhattan?
Don't really understand.
Are you asking if there's an emergency plan that they've tried out to make sure that it works?
In your modeling, whatever it is, you're modeling and determining what the flow, the vehicular flow, or even, cyclists or even pedestrians, but you gotta consider, in case there's an obstruction or there's construction on the road, will the existing routes available be able to support all the flow of vehicles, redirected traffic?
I mean, that's not really how our traffic modeling works, I guess, is the answer. So no. If there's a construction condition on St. James, when they go to do the construction condition, they have to go through DOT to make sure that the traffic flow is maintained and is open, and continues. So yes, but that's not how traffic modeling works. It's like, that's an individual location, or who's the resiliency plan that's going on South Street. Like all of their proposed construction conditions were definitely reviewed by DOT and denied until they made sure that the traffic could flow. So yes, to your question, but I think it's a different answer than what you're actually asking.
I'm also asking, or maybe they should consider things that aren't planned. If there's an accident or some kind of emergency, where it's something.
Like how there's no shoulder on the Brooklyn Bridge, right?
Right.
There's only one lane. If somebody breaks down, there's nowhere to go.
So that's a
That type of
comment that we're happy to receive that's much larger than this project comment.
Okay. All right, Rosa, did I see your hand up?
Yes, you.
And then we have, Pat and Betty online, and then the public, so.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Thank you very much. I'm actually gonna start with a completely different tone, which is I just want to say thank you for listening to so many of the concerns that we have had and for actually addressing so many problems that we have as a community, both in the dangerous sections where it comes to traffic considerations and injuries and sometimes fatalities, in terms of the inability for a lot of our mobility challenged people, especially our elderly, to be able to safely cross the street, especially when these intersections are wide. We're considering and actually thinking of putting in a sidewalk in a very busy area with bike traffic where we do not actually have a sidewalk. And so we are then able to start moving people and reconnecting our communities together. That is huge compared to, it's interesting because I listened to all of the comments and our considerations. And I hope that you don't take that to mean that we don't want this work done. We absolutely want improvements to our community and our neighborhood so that we can actually connect up together. I know the tone hasn't sounded like all positive and like, yay, you're gonna spend, a lot of money in making our neighborhood better and reconnecting us, through the Brooklyn Bridge. But I personally enormously appreciate the effort. I think a lot of us do. It's just that we always are wanting a bit more. And so that's what you are here. I don't think that you're hearing us saying it all sucks and we don't want you to do any of it, although one might hear that in the tone. I really want to stress that, personally, I am just amazed by the amount of work that you're coming to us with to deal with the issues that we have brought up for years about these particular streets and intersections. Frankly, I would like to see especially more going on south of, like, where the Brooklyn Bridge, where where you saw that is actually, I think, where the vast majority of issues are. I understand what you're saying about bridges and tunnels and a capital project, but I think that's where a lot of the accidents are happening, and it's a critical safety issue that should be prioritized. But I'm going off, so that was my comment number one. Comment number two is ditto to everything that Alice said. We do need resiliency, I think, especially in this area where we are in a flood zone. We recognize that resiliency is critical for the survival of our neighborhood. And even if you do FIDI, Seaport Resiliency, and BMCR as a combination, that doesn't address the cloudburst effect ramifications of severe rain flooding. And so we would love to see more permeable surfaces and planting areas for both our mental health as well as for our property and our streets that are completely unpassable at times because we do have these deep pockets of essentially bathtubs that we have to leap over. So that's another thing. I also, actually, I'm going to disagree on the permeable pavers, however, for sidewalks. In certain sections. And the reason why is because on Park Road, where we do actually have pavers, there are significant chunks of it where, and I don't know if you'll know exactly where, just in the top of your brain, I walk it all the time. There are a lot of bricks that have just come out. And so anybody that's there with a stroller, a wheelchair, like unless it's done really, really well, it is not a safe surface for people who are doing anything with wheels. So I would love permeable pavers, but only if it's done well and is safe for everybody to use, especially if they are mobility challenged. I also think that that should be a consideration throughout and all the work that you're doing, especially where at each intersection, a lot of places in the city, going back to the flooding at intersections, it dips down from the curb cut so deeply that it becomes a bowl again, which is not great for anybody who doesn't have a choice but to go through the curb cut. Let's see. Then, retail activity and economic revitalization. I just had a question for you regarding the projects that you have done throughout the city where you have increased space and flow for pedestrians, sometimes at the cost of cars. Have you found an increase in economic activity or have you found a decrease? I'm just curious. You must have done studies.
Yeah, we've done a couple of them, one in 2010 and then we renewed it in, I don't know, sometime between 2017 and 2021, we were like, let's go double check to make sure that that old data that we're, and yes, the answer was yes. We found that most of these treatments that we are, early versions of these treatments that we're proposing today all resulted in increased economic impacts.
Right. And then going back to the resiliency question, actually, I do think it would be awesome, and I would like this to be officially on the record, that you do integrate resiliency efforts into your toolkit for SIP, because that would be really, really awesome.
Me both.
Okay, so that's why I'm making an official on the record request. And I think the good.
I think 2 votes for that. Yeah.
Okay, I just
No,
wanted.
there's no question that it sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Just as an FYI for the room, one of the problems that you're pointing out is that when we don't use, you're gonna hate this bureaucratic answer, but like the city needs to maintain things like those bricks that you're talking about.
Yes.
And when we go off of our standard toolkit, we can't maintain it. Like we just don't, unless we turn it into a standard treatment over a large process that will take many years and lots of union and whatever. We can't maintain it, and that's what's going on with those bricks. Somebody decided to get fancy with some bricks, and now they're sitting there, and we can't fix them because it's not part of our standard toolkit. So anytime we want to do a permeable paver that's not standard, we could probably do it once, but then it's going to deteriorate, it's going to break, and we can't fix it. So while I would love to do the resiliency that you're talking about in permeable pavings, permeable asphalt, permeable concrete, whatever it is, until we actually get that into the standard toolkit, it's going to create a problem down the road that you're all then going to come complaining to us about.
Don't you think at this point, with the climate center, with the mayor's push, with everything that's been said throughout the entire Adams administration and the administration before, that this should be a baseline?
I agree
For
with you.
climate change?
Yeah, so like I'm just trying to, the more education you have about how the city works, the more you can request the right words to fix it, right?
Right.
So I'm just trying to like give you a little bit of information about that. Of course, I agree with that. Of course,
Yeah.
I want more permeable pavers in my standard toolkit. I just don't have it yet. So here. this is what we
What
have.
is the application, I mean, what is the process where the community can sort of, lobby, if you will, for amplifying your toolkit or changing it?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, that-
Lots of loud letters. Council members.
But I mean, I'm talking about the actual process, like if we say, okay, you know, extra wide permeable paper, it's working like a charm in Chicago, we should have it here in New York, that would happen.
Could I request Gotham Park is actually a prototype project where you do a partnership with a plaza? That would take over the maintenance responsibility of the permeable
Yeah, we're
paper.
not one of the Chinatown bids also taking over the maintenance too, if not the park.
Every time we go
Let's
off
not
of, on the
jump in.
agency for the
Let's
maintenance,
keep
it
going.
ends up, it ends up kind of falling back.
And you can't be advocating for your own personal.
I'd love to.
interest.
I'm not, I'm just saying, I'm
Rosa,
trying
do you-
to suggest a solution.
Rosa, I have three
Okay,
hands on
I'm
my
going
side.
through, I'm
What
going
else?
through it. Okay, the art project, and now I'm gonna speak top. So the entire side along the NYPD, One Police Plaza, that is a very beautiful, not beautiful, but could be beautiful mural surface. NYPD, we toured with them. They said that they were open to that being painted. It just had to come from someone. So I'm suggesting that as a wayfinding location, as an art activation location, and as an opportunity to drive traffic into Chinatown, that is Chinatown celebratory, that might be a great way to accomplish a lot of different things, because that wall is so long and it curves like literally half of the distance between the Brooklyn Bridge to Chinatown. And I didn't see it on your art interventions.
Brick wall.
The brick wall that has some bricks missing in it, yes. That's one. Can I say it's true?
Rosa, how many more do you have?
No, okay, no, just a few. Small banks and big banks, do you have a schedule for that by any chance?
What is that?
Okay, forget that.
No,
NYPD cars relocated or removed?
Right.
Along Frankfurt Street, the NYPD cars, are they being relocated or are they being removed, those spots? As in,
There are 21 spots removed from Frankfurt.
and
There
then,
are 15 spaces added on Park Road between Pearl and Worth.
but there are more than 15 already parked on.
What, you're adding spaces, right?
Yeah.
That's parallel parking next to the bike lane.
You mean official versus the illegal ones that they're getting
Yeah.
out? Okay, so
Right,
then
right.
they're actually
So
still a
we
net
organize
negative.
open
Okay,
street space. Yeah.
right, okay.
So minus 21 off of Pearl, plus 15 off of
Minus
Frankfurt,
21 from
Frankfurt,
Yeah.
and
But-
plus 15 on Park Road.
But right now, they're actually
Minus
backing in and
4
taking
on that
probably
bridge.
like 40
Minus 4 on the right.
spots right now, so.
And then there's also 7 comptroller spaces removed,
Because,
relocated.
because comptrollers need a vehicle.
I don't know why they're there.
Your speaking time though does not count as my speaking time. I just
Yeah.
want
Well,
to clear
that's
about that.
I'm
Super clear that your
Keep
speaking time
going.
does not count. Okay, so the whole Frankfurt Street bike integration lanes that start and don't start and end in the middle of nowhere is sort of problematic. And I would ask you to please look at actually connecting them, because it's not like bicyclists stop, get off their bike, walk it over to the next, starting point of the bike lane. And so it's.
We
it's-
asked them for a
Imagine,
presentation.
so we would love to see that whole
We
thing
did.
actually resolved a little further. Personally, I want the entire decommissioned offhand. So I've already told you guys that, I just,
What do you mean?
I want that to become accessible for pedestrians and become a viewing platform for the entire park.
Great.
Yep. So I'm also putting that on the record, Rose and Frankfurt bike, okay, is very disconnected. And then Pearl and Avenue of the side, of the Finest. There is that section that you built out that showed like a little blob going past where the sidewalk sort of disappears. It's currently fenced off. So it looks like that one, you know what I'm talking about, right? So can we just keep it uniform in width? Like, because right now you're showing it going narrower and then adding a new blob to it.
There
Just-
is a catch basin there that we cannot remove.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay, thank you for explaining that. That totally makes sense to me now. Okay, thank you, that's it, I'm done.
Awesome. She asked a lot of questions. We got some answered already, but I will reinforce we've already asked some of them and we'll be asking it again.
Especially
Because
the
you
back ones.
repeated what we said, so it's okay. Pat and then Betty, or Betty then Pat, whoever wants to go first.
Let me go first. Okay, I'm very excited, so I'm glad to hear about the development of improving things for cyclists, pedestrians, and mass transit users, because that's really how people do business if you want to revive the businesses, that's the way to move people to really get it done. So that's all good with me. I also want to make sure that you've heard the interest that there is in resiliency. I think that should also speak to the interest in not increasing climate change, which means I do not want a plan that increases vehicle miles traveled, which some of these comments sounded like that's exactly what they were trying to do. Anyway, my bigger concern where I'm going to be the most different from people is because I am a mobility scooter user, and I'm going to stand up for people with wheelchairs and mobility scooters. There aren't any cues within any presentations about where the various curb cuts are. The wider sidewalk would certainly sound like it's a great idea because right now it's not tenable at all. But there still needs to be, especially since there are painted bump outs, where are the curb cuts? Because what is of interest to me is where can I transition between levels? Often we see these big generous extensions made for pedestrian space, but I can't get to it. Or there's one tiny little narrow curb cut that everybody uses and I'm still left out. So I need to know, are there enough access points where I can get out if there is a problem with the sidewalk? If there is a problem where I want to get to the painted extension, can I do that and get back with multiple options?
Can you?
Definitely. No, the agency is obliged to follow the current ADA and PROAG laws and guidelines. And generally speaking, there's one ramp per direction.
That's not true. That's not true. And the PROAG changed in March of this past year. But in fact, the widths can be all kinds of things. They can be the ADA, I've been around this block so many times. It is not that restricted, and those are still minimums, and there's nothing from the access board that says that you have to do the minimum. And the DOT does not always use the minimum. They have done very wide pedestrian ramps that are as wide as an extra wide crosswalk.
Okay, so put it in the resolution, like the widths that you would like to see, where I will tell you that we can probably make amendments to our pedestrian ramps where we are working in concrete. Some of those painted intersections where there is not concrete work, we will not be able to change that in this project, but in future.
Great, thank you for keeping it in mind.
So I just want to clarify for Betty's point, when we're talking about that bus stop island, right, which is critically important when we're talking about the age of the community and things like that, there's a current curb cut over there, then there'd be 2 curb cuts on the bus stop side?
Right, so the bus stop will be fully accessible, but there'll be just the one, the bus, the new bus island will have one ramp that meets the crosswalk at the intersection with Worth Street. And we will upgrade the ramp on the pizza corner. I don't know what to call it. And then we will also upgrade the cut through on the existing median on the other side of the new bus island, just to meet ADA standards.
Betty, you good?
Yes, but I'm disappointed they're going to go with the minimum all the time, even when there's new stuff being built.
That sounds like something to request in a reso.
I agree. If there's a resolution, I would certainly do that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, Pat, you're next.
So I'm going to assume that we need improved lighting, and I didn't hear anything about lighting.
Especially lighting for what Rose is talking about, the areas that are underneath the bridge and underneath where the ramp is and things like that.
Places where you think you'll get mugged.
By the murder
at night. So I think you need to come back with some lighting presentations.
Is that in your plans? You didn't mention it at all.
It's not really a part of our toolkit. What we can do is we can ask our lighting, traffic ops, street lighting unit for an inspector to check it out and make sure that it is going well. Going beyond that, like above and beyond, I think PD asked for some lighting improvements as well, but wasn't part of it.
Row in Frankfurt, so.
I understand.
She would like to eliminate that intersection.
Dark areas.
Quality of life included in our district needs every single year.
Can you talk to the, I don't think that.
Sorry, in our walkthrough with PD, they also requested additional lighting at Frankfurt and Park Row. And they requested if we could see if that was feasible. So we are also in touch with our street light.
Where there are spots.
And this.
And maybe maybe we need to do a walkthrough to identify places that we feel need additional lighting.
But Pat, we have that on the list every year.
But I didn't let Rosa interrupt, I can't let you interrupt. But then the question becomes, for what Pat is requesting, would you be willing to do a walkthrough that focuses on light for the study area that you have along the SIP? Which would be all along through and around Gotham Park, which would be all along by where the murder stairs are. Sorry, I don't remember what else that's what I called them.
I call them mugging.
And you know, the other places, because if we're talking about working with the lighting unit, whether it's in your toolkit and you know or not, they may have a different answer. We're delighted to hear that NYPD requests lighting for any intersection because it can't be bad as long as the lights aren't pointed up into the apartment buildings.
Put it in the resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put it in the resolution. Thank you.
All right, back to Pat and John.
Two new members, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you raise your hand.
Well, you know, we don't know the
Is your hand up?
protocol. This is the orientation. Okay, my
John,
hand's
you're
up.
next.
We went around the room. Okay, my hand's up.
John.
First of all, I'd like to say, I think that the presentation was great. You did a great job. I happen to be a person that rides a bike through there and walks, and so I kind of understand what it is, and, you know, it's important. And, you know, the way I've been hearing all the complaints, you know, there's multiple factors here. We got the police department that's not listening to us, and you guys really don't have no power over that. And so, the community board got to deal with that. And so what the deal is, I think we have to give you credit where credit's due. You will be given a plan to make it more safe. And there's things that we can do. And of course, if we had, you use the word toolkit. Well, the thing is, if we had monies and we had all the other departments working with us, like the lighting, this is not in your purview. It has to be another department. So we can't get on top of this presentation and say to them, oh, do this, do that. It's our business. So I'm gonna finish. This is one presentation. This is one presentation. We're talking about certain things. Now, what I'm saying is I'm giving them credit for what they've done and what their knowledge is. And that, yes, we need a lot. We do need lighting, and you're saying that's their department. That's not what I'm hearing, but that's beside the point. But let's give credit where credit's due. I thank them because I ride that bike. I don't ride a car. Sorry, guys. I ride a bike, and I appreciate. You know, I'm working with seniors. We need to have more cutouts. And I'm gonna be coming to your department because they're saying there's not enough. I have people in wheelchairs, they need cutouts, you know, so I don't know what the legalese, I'm new to this, I'm
Cuts, that's what
new right now. But you're gonna know that I'm gonna be, you know, making loud voices because we have people in wheelchairs that need to get up these sidewalks and moving through. So I'm gonna finish with that, just thanking you all. And I know that there's gotta be more improvement, but thank you for, you know.
And 3 members of the public, so we're gonna go, the two of you have both said something first. Did you want to say anything more?
Yes.
No, Eric, you'll have to wait. Kamal's gonna go, then we're gonna go to Ed Kuch online, and then we'll go to the people in the room, all right? And then when we go second round. Go ahead, Kamal, welcome.
Add on to what y'all was saying, some awesome presentation skills that you had there. But I wanted to take it for a different spin. You know, completely. So in the beginning, I had seen different, like the overview, it was different projections. And one thing that I was really curious about and interested in hearing was the amenities. Now, I didn't hear a lot about, or much rather about the amenities and the kind of community events that will be taking place. But that's something that I definitely wanted to hear about, like, what kind also did y'all consider, because y'all did like a lot of research, it was evident, right? Like, are y'all considering the kind of amenities that could be used and needed, the context, and y'all also mentioned cultural heritage, like that of Park Row and basing the amenities and different things around the cultural heritage. So that's one thing. The second thing is the security of space. So like, I see that y'all did a lot of research, like I said, but one of the things that I wanted to know about too is just like, as far as like the parking, I think it was, the parking that y'all completely taken out, right? Like where would all those cars park at after, right? Like, just, securing these spaces, like really having like the plans and knowing exactly what's going on. Oh yeah, are y'all speaking with other stakeholders, organizations and partners for the amenities and the different things that are be going on, like what would that look like? And just even businesses too, right? So that was that. And so yeah, I can speak to that before I got like just two more quick questions and I'm set.
You want to speak to the outreach?
Yeah, so I want to talk about amenities. So within our toolkit, we have amenities, but they're limited. So we have planters, we have granite blocks that can serve as seating, they're also edge objects. We also have movable tables and chairs. So for example, at the Worth Street end, the Chinatown bid will be putting out movable tables and chairs. So, and then, yeah, planters. So we have some amenities to offer, but again, there's a finite amount.
But just to add to that, we also partner with organizations such as Gotham Park. We supported them with tables and chairs at the event. So that's also another way of DOT providing resources to support community partners for programming and events.
Okay.
And other groups can come in, like, let's say Murray Bertram wants to hold graduation outside, like DOT and a partner organization, or just Murray Bertram can come to us and we can work with them to help support them and guide them to having outdoor programming.
Yeah.
But, and then, you were also, I think, asking about community engagement and outreach, and how we've like connected with the community. So, we've had 2 community workshops, one April 17th and May 4th, where we spoke with community members and showed, like those concepts, some of which used earlier versions of what you saw today. And then we also presented to Community Board 3 on Tuesday. Yes.
Some sort last summer too, right?
Yeah, I mean, we also there was outreach last summer.
You've had meetings with Chatham Green and
Chatham
Chatham
Green.
Tower.
There's also the Chinatown Connections Working Group, which is made up of neighborhood stakeholders. That's more directly, or that is directly related to the 3 capital efforts that are on that first slide. But we have used that as an opportunity to talk about the SIP and engage with people and answer.
Yeah, so as far as like, as far as amenities, in the context y'all was speaking about is the context of like livability and like, convenience, more so than like programs and activities.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, I mean, the amenities that I'm referring to are like, or can you rephrase that?
So
For an example.
yeah, for an example, I'll talk about Best Stop. I know it's like that counterproductive. But like in Best Stop Brooklyn, right, like some of the amenities that's there, includes like having open spaces where like a lot of youth and residents alike could come through and do art, work on piano. They have like Thai classes there. It's nonprofit. They also have, I know y'all heard of the Restoration Plaza with so much events going on, right? So similar things like activities and just yeah, activities basically. So are y'all speaking about those kind of amenities or just like amenities like parks and like walking your dog and
Yeah,
stuff?
so the amenities I was referring to was more on the scale of like chairs, planters, things like that. But going back to the very first slide, like partner relationships and working with our partners in the community is like a foundational idea and or is a foundational concept for the public realm program. And so in all of our public spaces, we try to work with, we aim to work with community partners to program the spaces and support them. And we actually have like a division within public realm that is like exclusively working with programming and partnerships. I don't know if I answered your question.
I
but
think
can I help
he's new and he's learning.
Yeah,
Hold on,
yeah.
no, Rosie, you'll have to wait. We gotta go through everybody else. That does bring for you, for public realm, we have a discussion that we'd like you to come back with outside of Chinatown Connection about doing a public meeting and public engagement on what the public thinks should be done on pedestrian plazas. And what the public is looking for and not. And we'd like to, I know it's a discussion Betty had told us was happening in public realm and DOT and all the rest of it. We'd actually like to co-sponsor a public meeting with y'all on that topic. In light of the opportunities that preclude public, free public programming for and how that crosses over. So that's a whole nother thing, but we're gonna go to Ed
But that's
Kucha.
a really big thing, and I just want to throw out that we have worked for over 20 years to have a pedestrian plaza that we have existing today that is yet to be completed, and we really could use your help on that.
We have more.
Barnett Newman project. Not get out of that one.
Ed Kucha, we will unmute you. Ed, you're next, and then we have two public members in the room, members of the public. Go ahead, Ed.
Hear me? Hello?
Hi, Ed. Welcome, if you want.
There you go. Good stuff. Hello. Well, actually, although I'm happy to appear today, I'm merely a technical advisor. I'm going to pass the microphone over to my wife, Amy, and I'll let her have it. Her name is Amy, and she wants to speak.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lim Kuchir, Edward's wife. I am appointed to be on the Kim Lau Square Committee to represent Chinatown. I just want to make it clear that most of the Chinatown community wants Park Row open to cars.
Exactly.
Hey, no.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
we
we're
can.
clapping.
You should be.
Okay. If you guys have a chance to walk through it at nighttime from Kim Lau Square to East Broadway, you can feel and you feel sad to look at it. Chinatown on the east side is dying. Chinatown is big. It's on Canal Street and East Broadway. If one part of the Chinatown from Canal Street to East Broadway, one of them dies, all the Chinatown will be dead. That's my words. Thank you. And I hope you guys listen. Chinatown needs life. We need Park Row open to cars and traffic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're gonna, Ed, I think, are you good?
Oh, we're good. Good job, folks. Thank you.
All right, in the room, the gentleman who's sitting right here, please, refresh my memory with what your name
My
is.
name is Irving Lee. I'm a transit worker, also a small property owner in Chinatown. So, in the surveys that were done, I noticed that you didn't mention the fact that many of us here were supportive of reopening Park Row, and that was not in the presentation. And I thought that was very important because I think reopening Park Road obviously is being supported, but also would alleviate a lot of the safety issues if that was opened up. And also it would accelerate business opportunities in the area. Because that Park Road being closed, and then this traffic, and of course, congestion pricing is another variable that we could discuss. But certainly, you need to have, in order for Chinatown to survive, become a food depot for working class communities, it needs to have trucks and to provide the goods and services to make Chinatown affordable. Because, you know, that's what brings the stuff in. Bicycles are not gonna do it, right? So, the question I have is that, has the Department of Transportation actually done studies and measurements to look at the feasibility of pedestrian, bicycle, and automobile traffic simultaneously operating at once because this park road sufficiently large enough and wide enough to accommodate all those variables? That's number one. And wasn't there supposedly a study or a test period where I think over a weekend, Marte was the one that actually promoted this, to have a weekend service that allowed Parkwood to open up to traffic.
Yes.
And what happened with that process? Because I thought that was gonna happen to give us an idea, because people were talking about, we need to have more traffic studies. Well, don't you have that, isn't that what you need to do, a traffic study to see the feasibility of having Parkwood open up to traffic, at least on a temporary basis, to see if it works? What happened to that process? That's the question. And is it possible we can reinvigorate that process?
Let's have them answer it.
I can't answer to the effort that Councilmember Marte put forth.
Mayor Adams talked about it in his Chinatown engagement. He held a charrette in Chinatown and he did talk about it. And it has been talked about often. So if you don't know, you particularly, that should.
Say that, just to clarify, the presentation that we made today is the SIP. There's currently a traffic study going on that is for the Kim Lau capital projects and the larger Chinatown connections effort that was mentioned at the beginning of the presentation.
And that's not, none of that, any updates of that are included here.
Correct.
Were any updates given at the working group about the traffic study?
It's currently being conducted. I mean, they are taking counts.
There were lots of questions that were asked and we did not, and we actually did a resolution, we haven't heard anything response-wise.
Well, why was this study not
I thought we
done?
were getting answers tonight on that stuff.
Okay.
Why was that test period not done where cars would go through? Park
That's
Road?
not there. That's
Yeah,
not there.
We can't answer that. This is the first time we're hearing about it. We don't have the answer.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, that's not.
That's stunning.
Do you have any other questions or?
Yeah, as far as joining Chinatown Connections, how does one go about doing?
The working group?
The working, yeah.
The working group has representatives from already assigned. It went through EDC. So CV1, CV3, a variety.
So it's closed?
As far as I understand, yes. I didn't, don't shoot the messenger.
It's close to the stakeholders that, represent different groups in the community. I think the hope is that, people
Well,
represent.
probably is part of that stakeholders because we're critical for the businesses here.
It's who?
Well, are they included? Because we are the big taxpayers.
Representatives of different residents that are.
Well,
Not every individual property owner. There are from the Chinatown bid and there
well, we
are.
have to pay the bid. So.
Then your perspective, you need to ensure that the representative from the bid is speaking on behalf of what the bid wants.
Yeah, the hope is that the members will speak to, their constituencies. and
No, I
like
wasn't
that.
aware that, was there a deadline? Because I wasn't aware that Chinatown Connections was available when it was created. So I didn't even know that.
People were chosen. No, it wasn't like anybody said, oh, pick me, pick me. It didn't happen that way. It was just.
I got this.
Yeah.
I would approach the head of the Chinatown bid and ask if he would allow you to replace them at a meeting if you'd like more engagement, but they should be I'm not throwing anybody from the bid under the bus. They should be updating every one of their members in the constituency because they attend the Chinatown Working Group meetings. They should be taking the presentations that are shared after the slide decks and everything, like we post ours publicly. You can see our meetings online. They should be able to take what is shared back with them and distribute to their membership. So I obviously, CB3 can do the same thing. So I would encourage you to talk to the head of the Chinatown bid.
The Chinatown Working Group, is that distinct from there's another Chinatown Working Group? Is that the same thing or?
I don't think
No,
it's
you
the
mean
same thing.
Chinatown
it's not.
Connections.
No, this, I'm talking specifically about Chinatown Connections, the
Okay.
membership of the working group for that. The bid is a part of that. And so you definitely should speak to the people running the bid. And I would say for our city team and agency and EDC team to know, that's kind of a problem if the people who are going to your working group aren't actually pushing out the information, because that's not great. And I'm not sure how you can deal with that, but that's a topic you need to take back internally if we've got people who are members of the bid saying they know nothing about it. So
We'll take that feedback back and we can send out like a follow-up. To disseminate the information.
I think there was actually a request not to until the discussion had been publicly had at CB3 and CB1.
they've already had at least initial discussions, because this is their second time coming here. And I know
And
they've
they-
already been to CB3, so there should be no reason why those presentations that were initially done that the gentleman
Oh,
has
no,
never
I don't mean the initial one, I mean this one.
But any of them should be.
The other question I had was has measurements been done whether it was feasible to have all three options, traffic, car traffic, pedestrian?
It's currently happening. Like traffic counts are like the traffic study is being conducted. now.
And it does include bicycles, pedestrians, and vehicles.
And there will be milestones later in the summer that I'm anticipating will be reported to the Chinatown Connections Working Group.
Mhm.
But like right now, counts are being reported, so it's early stages of the traffic studies, they're still being.
Mariama, we're gonna come back around after we let the people from the public go, and then we'll come back around.
Okay, name is Howard Huey. I'm part of NUBC and John Powell's board. I've been in a number to the street fairs and to the CB3 meeting a month ago with DOT and EDC. And one of the things that they did say, you know, I'm advocating for opening Park Row, and I asked a question on that. And they said they would open it up during the summer, do traffic studies. Okay, so, I'm thinking that, I'm hearing that that's not happening now.
That is not us. I don't know.
Okay, you're not part of that DOT?
There might be a misunderstanding. We are doing a traffic study, but the traffic study is based on the existing condition with Park Road closed. It's
We had asked
Based
that.
on actually.
And we're collecting data, but the eventual study will be based on 3 scenarios.
They had said that the study would be done with Park Row open.
So there are three
That-
potential scenarios we will evaluate.
So that was a request, and that is one of the questions that we had asked based on the first meeting and on the study and on the resolution, and that I thought you were coming back this evening with updates and information on that.
So I'm kind of dismayed that to hear that that's not even in the game plan right now.
Well, we don't know.
Okay.
They don't know. They're saying that's not them, so I don't want to throw them under the bus.
Direct, or I'm a little unclear what
It's-
the direct question is.
So there's a direct question on, that we had done a resolution last time that Chinatown's connection was presented about the traffic study and how the traffic study was working, and several things, including our requests on the SIP and requests on the traffic study for all the parts. And we understood that we would get answers back, and that the answers would be coming back for this meeting. So now, you know, I was out of town at the working group meeting, so I don't know what transpired there. But I'm pretty sure that those questions were not answered, because no one would have answered a CB1 resolution from that day. So while we have updates on the SIP and some of what you've shown us from the SIP does address some of the questions that we asked and requested, like widening sidewalks and making the bicycle way much safer, potentially adding lights. That was a big ask that we asked as well. Some of those things are representative, which is great news, but we're missing a whole swath of the wider conversation. And the concern is, and from what I'm hearing from the gentleman, is if points are raised and never answered, then then you don't know what's going on. And if the traffic study is in progress, and there were a lot of conversation about that traffic study, and we don't get answers until after the traffic study is closed, it's really a denial of the public process of input.
Okay, so
Input does not mean just like say it, it means that we are looking for a response, an answer. If action can be had or not.
Yeah.
And
just to carry on, I went to a lot of these meetings and I always asked about reopening of Park Row. And I was told that's in the works, we'll look at that. But then I look at these plans, these plans don't include anything about opening Park Row, and I'm kind of dismayed, because then I'm saying, are you just telling me a story?
No, so none of these plans preclude opening Park Row. Nothing in these plans prevent that from happening. That is just, we are not there yet. And we are still trying to do something for the neighborhood, for the community, before, like, a traffic study takes a long time, a very long time. And we want to do something beforehand. So we're trying to do some stuff here today. We're presenting some things that we can help, we think are gonna make your neighborhood more beautiful, more inviting, while still maybe being able to open Park Row to traffic. Maybe, maybe not, that we're not preventing it.
Okay, that's nice to know. Thank you so much.
next, yes, ma'am.
Yes, I've lived on Park Road for.
Your name, please?
I'm sorry, Jeannie Shen, I live at Chatham Towers, and, I was part of the CD3's, Town Square, task force, reconstruction task force in 2008 and 9. I've lived on Park Road for 50 years. In terms of safety, there were no armies of traffic cops at Chatham Square or Center Street before they locked down Park Road. Worth Street and St. James have become major thoroughfares now. And there's no reason why you cannot allow a lane of traffic to help alleviate the traffic. And I object to the widening of the sidewalk, which will prevent Park Road from being open. If you're gonna widen and build a bus bulb out, that's gonna eliminate the lane. So yes, that will affect what you're saying. It will affect the opening of Park Road. So we want 2 lanes of traffic on both sides, and the bike lanes are there and they seem to be working okay. We don't have a lot of major traffic, so I don't see how we need to make it any fancier. It seems to be working. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going back. That's gonna be my next question before we go around the table. Are we doing a resolution on what we've seen specifically about the SIP? Not about the traffic study, because they're not answering any of the traffic study stuff. This is about the SIP, about the construction stuff we've seen. I've heard a couple requests about the toolkit and the permeable stone and the opportunities lost. I've heard about more than minimum on the curb cutouts. I've heard about a request for a walkthrough for lighting.
I would second having a resolution. I don't know, what's the tenor of the, I mean, we could
So
memorialize.
far, everything you said, it's yes, and that's all good to put in a resolution, so yeah.
So this is our response to the SIP as presented, right?
Sir, could you repeat? Yeah, go again.
So the first question is, does everyone think they, what,
I just.
Let's take
the
it
members want a resolution? This is the executive committee.
Yep.
The citizen.
Yeah.
So do the
you
executive committee
want-
members want a resolution?
I think we should do a resolution, that's my opinion.
But that's a.
But I don't think that we should exclude the part about the traffic, only because in the beginning of the presentation, I think it did appear that what we were about to be presented was something that they had visited the community and discussed with the community and gotten feedback. And then they were saying, and everyone likes it this way. So there was an implication that everything had been discussed and was being presented here. So I think that we need to point out that it wasn't included, and that people did have an expectation of being able to speak about Park Road being opened to traffic. This is something that we've been fighting for literally since 9/11, like almost immediately after it was closed, like when can you open it back up? And every mayor that we've had since then, when is it gonna be open? And
Well, I
there's always a story.
just
So-
interject, but DOT has made it clear on the record here tonight that this plan that they're showing in terms of the SIP can be altered for traffic or not. So I just think.
And so I think, and that there is a traffic study ongoing. The traffic study that they mentioned was a traffic study that they've already done, correct me if I'm wrong, around the Smith houses at those intersections.
Northwest.
Where
bound,
all
right,
the-
right to-
Okay.
Right, but I'm
So
saying,
with
I think that it pertains to this conversation because there was an implication that it had been discussed and was going to be included here and then it wasn't.
Disagree, I don't think there was any.
I think that's what we just heard from the.
Hold on, I'm gathering. Just, Betty, I need you to unmute and Pat, so you can be part of just, and Paul, so you can dive in. Betty, I need, verbiage, please, for more than the minimum, for the curb cuts.
May I, you want to hear her?
But I want to get all the points in that we've already said, yeah, we want to
Should we
start.
worry about
And
the
then-
lighting of it, like
Hold
wordsmith
on.
it just.
And I was only
main
making the
point?
point about the lighting before, because the lighting, that particular lighting is lighting that literally Quality of Life Committee asks for every single year when you make us do that homework. So we've done it many times and we've asked for it. And it's in resolutions already.
So,
Yep.
but having the community engagement, and
Yep.
what you said at the beginning is really important, to include that in there. And with the traffic study, it's, understanding that it is not part of this.
That's the whereas, that we understand that was not part of this
But you're gonna-
presentation, but the
but-
community board expected
Yeah,
the update from the last resolution.
exactly, about that, but that's.
A point of order.
I'll follow up.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
You know, since we were here for
Uh,
orientation, can we be excused because we're not
Yes.
voting on this?
Yeah.
that is true.
Thank you.
Please. Have a lovely night. Thanks, John. Good night, Vincent. Good night.
Betty's still waiting to speak and turn her hands up.
You wanted it.
Betty has her hand.
Betty, unmute.
I'm unmuted. I strongly disagree with making any mention of the traffic study because in no way was it ever implied for tonight's meeting. It's really pretty irrelevant. If there wants to be a whereas, then say it was mentioned, and the SIP does not include or exclude what happens in the future, but nothing else belongs here. It's just lobbying for people for their own interests. So
What I have no interest. The person,
All right, stop. Please don't fight.
I want to be clear about what I was referring to. There were slides in the beginning of this presentation that had members of the public gathered and it was saying, and we talked to these people, everybody wants what we're about to give you. And there
Because
was an
that's about,
implication-
it's about the SIP.
It's about the SIP.
only
They
about
understood that,
the SIP.
but the entire presentation was about the street improvement.
But we had members of the public come and pull in because there was,
But I don't.
I'm confused.
and there was an implication, so we need to address it in my
There
opinion.
wasn't.
Expect
stop.
something. Wait, no.
No, everybody quiet for a second. Take a breath. Take a breath. Okay, take a breath. Just wait a second. Betty, are you done? You have the floor.
Yeah, no, I was going to make a comment about, I think for the curb cuts, the issue is they should be not just the minimum, but as wide as is needed for the demand by people with wheel devices, because that includes strollers and others. I also think they need to look at the frequency of placement so that there is mobility between levels for those people with wheel devices, including wheelchairs.
Okay, and I think that also goes to somebody who talked about the strange start-stop of, that also mirror language for the bike
Yes.
lane that starts in the middle of the street. Okay.
I have one more question.
Okay, now we're gonna go around.
Okay, this will be the last run. and
Last
then-
run,
Then we're
and then
writing,
vote.
we're
Yep,
gonna finish
Alice.
our resolution. Okay. I just had one question. What, if anything, are you doing in terms of the relationship to the police plaza and the Park Row? I know you mentioned that there'll be wayfinding.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you can do to make that extraordinarily important connection from up to down from, and also specifically that particular plaza, the police plaza? Is there anything being done there, particularly to the south end of that, that's just a very sort of confused wasteland? It seems like years have gone by with no even discussion about it. And can it, if not, can it be incorporated into this in somehow, in some way? You know where I'm talking?
Yeah, it's above, like when you're, like we go across the brick, we cross Park Row on the bridge, but you go down when you're kind of cattle shooter.
Exactly, and that whole vast plaza that connects, you know, the
Yeah.
major part of the city.
We can look into that in terms, I know there's a lot, or when I was there last week, there was a lot of security infrastructure kind of around.
It doesn't
But-
preclude a way to
but it-
get the pedestrian connection.
And we can, reach out to our street furniture unit that does the wayfinding. Have a feeling they looked at that location, and because it's on a bridge structure, they may not be able to have wayfinding signage, or maybe it's already there. But I mean, we can look and see if there's anything that we can do within our toolkit.
That would be-
And if it's also within our jurisdiction. So,
I mean, there's just gotta be a
like
way.
in terms of, is this, like,
Isn't the pedestrian plaza, the police plaza, like, what is it? What is what?
Same question. Right, do you mean you want access from Police Plaza to Park Row?
Yeah. There is access.
Just
There is this
Yeah.
sphere that goes
There's-
down.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most critical points of, I would argue, of downtown.
side of
Oh.
Park Row.
That's not going to happen because the federal project is going to happen. That's gonna close the entire section off for 3 years. And that includes that ramp
So this
area that you're talking
wayfinding
about on
will
the
be-
north side.
So the wayfinding is from Rose Street,
Yes, going up.
Avenue of Finest to Guam Police Plaza.
That's what I'm talking about, so maybe we're talking about two.
Oh,
different things.
you mean.
And, yeah, and then I'm talking, so that
And then
would be
you're
like
talking
a
about the ramp.
critical joint that gets nothing, and then when you arrive at the police plaza, you know, that's a vast wasteland, and the question was, again, to incorporate, is there some potential for incorporating this into what you're doing now? So at a
So
later
on
date,
Rose Police
on the
Plaza
police
itself.
plaza itself, yeah. Anyway, that's it, okay, that's it, thank you.
Okay.
Resolution.
Justine, and then
Okay.
Mariama and Eric.
Thank you. So,
Rosa.
so to be clear, I think that what was presented tonight, as far as the sidewalks
Mhm.
and the bike lane and all that, and the front stuff, it was lovely. So thank you for that. What I believe, well, I know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, this is good. Also add cars, which might modify what you're doing, which is why that I think by saying adding access to cars is making that as a comment, not a therefore be it resolved, because it's not what you're doing right now, or whatever it is, if that's what you're saying, but making that as a, opening it up to traffic, I think is necessary in this resolution, because it just needs to be mentioned that it's important, or it's a consideration, and then you come back and tell us why it is or it isn't, but mentioned, that's what I'm saying. But as far as, you know, we raised issues that are in the resolution already noted, that were points we pointed out, that were problems. That doesn't take away from the fact that the sidewalks are a mess and need to be fixed. Widening, you know, giving access to bikes and separating them, all that's great. So please don't take,
Yeah.
I
sorry.
don't think it's fair to say taking the comments that I'm making, or even some of the members of the community are making, are, this sucks, don't do it. And I don't think that's what's happening. We're saying do this and more. But that's my comment for that. And then I'd actually ask for what the committee thinks about, when we talk about art with the DOT, having local artists from Chinatown and downtown.
It was a requirement from the Chinatown Connections Working Group. I know for the arch, but I didn't, that's a great question for you. For the SIP, are you working with local artisans, which was the preference that we gave for the
So.
gateway?
It was an open call.
Yeah.
And haven't looked at the submission, so I can't.
It's an open call for admission, so anybody can submit.
Anybody could submit, but I would like to say, at least my preference would
But
be
it-
the
but it's
localized
closed.
would be the preference.
Sorry, it closed on midnight, May 5th.
It's a very short
So,
window.
it's like
less
because
than a
there's
month.
time.
I think we got enough, we got enough applicants.
We got a lot.
We got 165 applicants.
Because will the
Oh, wow.
community board have a shot at looking at these and opining on what they think
No,
as part of the engagement process?
Or at least your Chinatown connection.
Yeah, there will be stakeholders from the Chinatown Connection.
Is the community
involved.
On the Chinatown connection?
Yeah, we are,
So we're not,
but,
okay.
but there's a subgroup on art.
Well,
that I know.
that's separate. That's for the gateway.
Okay.
That's the
Well,
end,
when
right?
it comes to the Chinatown working group, our preference is, of course, that we support local artisans.
But moreover, that we have a shot at looking at your 168, whatever you hold
Yeah.
it down to, and saying that the community is.
Maybe we don't want to look at 165.
No, but
I
look at-
don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
A curated group.
Listen.
A curate.
But
Okay,
maybe put
anything
that-
else?
No, that's it, just putting that as a whereas at the very least.
Yeah, I gotcha. Who's next?
And Mariama, if you have. anything to say.
Mariella, Eric, and Rosa.
I mean, I agree with what you said, and that's basically the point I was trying to get across before too. I think that we have to be respectful of members of the public that come to these meetings and want to express their opinions. And I think there's a reason why they came, and they expressed the reason why they came. So for us to disagree with it and say that's not, is kind of odd to me.
We're not disagreeing, we're reiterating that the expectation was, I'm the chair, for God's sakes, I expected this information. That was my understanding from having gone to the Chinatown Connections meeting, so I'm sorry, you know.
Yeah,
we don't-
yeah, so,
we got that.
but that said, I mean, I agree. I support
And
doing the
they just didn't
resolution. The
provide
only
the
part of the presentation that scared me is Worth Street, but if you're not going to impact
It's not physically.
people on Worth Street, then, you know, I guess it's all good. Any improvement from what we have,
And the best news,
from
for-
anything, any improvement is an improvement. It's good. So,
the best news for you is our construction, for all the construction work at Worth
Mm-hmm.
Street, 3 weeks.
That's good.
You know, it's not.
for your portion,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's another several years, unfortunately, with the
Maybe,
EDC.
maybe month.
We need to take a vote, and I need to be home. My birthday's tomorrow, so let's keep going. Come on. Eric,
Okay,
for resolution,
oh yeah.
what do you have for the resolution?
The bridge that goes over Park Road, there's like dozens of pigeons that live in the upper part. They're hidden in there. They're nesting. So if you can do something of blocking them from having nests, because they have droppings that drop, and that's a health hazard on Park Road, on those roads.
Just to help you out, that is a PD bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about, you're not talking about the Brooklyn Bridge.
No, correct.
That is actually owned by PD. Please send that request to PD.
Okay, I thought that was a bridge.
Brandon, put it
It is
in
a
here.
bridge.
Yeah, we put it in there, but yeah.
We're gonna ask you to liaison with.
Wait, hold on, I might be wrong, hold on.
I think there's like funny pieces of jurisdiction there, but
I think
put
it's,
it in the resolution.
I think it's PD owned and they lean on.
You guys have the expertise. Yeah.
Because what we do know about EDC and public realm is you're designed to work with multi-agencies. So we'll put it in here to find, fix, and improve the help.
With them
Yeah.
for this.
Gotcha.
And so it's an opportunity to, yeah.
Okay.
BJ's gonna hate me. Go ahead.
You want to go first?
No.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, so I was actually at the Chinatown Connections meeting that we had just recently, and I just want to be really clear to everybody that there was no conversation about traffic, about opening Park Row. It was purely about, number one, the Gateway Arch, right? And how that process was gonna work and who was going to be part of it. That took a huge part of that conversation. And then item number 2 was about the SIP, the Street Improvement Project, which had the artwork that was planned, an update on how many submissions were received from the RFQ, and the exact same. I don't think I saw any changes from the presentation of what we had today, which is about the safety issues at the intersection, about the bike lanes that were added, about the number of parking spaces that were removed or added in different locations. And so there was nothing.
There were other questions. The only thing that I heard about NYPD engagement and how that works.
Oh, actually, so,
PD
and,
was the
yeah.
third So there were representatives
Yeah.
from like the various divisions within NYPD.
Yes.
They're a key stakeholder, and we're really happy that they're at the table.
And they were excited, as far as I know, at least they said they were excited to be at the table and work with the community. And that their goal was to actually minimize the number of cars that they were going to have in the neighborhood, not increase.
Anything?
Okay,
for the
yes, so I
resident?
have so many, but.
Well, in addition to what we've already said, right?
Okay, yes, I'm just saying, just in case it's not absolutely clear, 10 million pedestrian crossings a year on the Brooklyn Bridge per your presentation results in a daily average of 27,000 pedestrian crossings, a huge majority of which are going to want to eat, drink, and shop
Rosa,
in
that's
Chinatown.
just for the resolution. We
For
know
the
that
resolution, we recognize that that is an economic revitalization engine that has not been tapped. And adding a sidewalk that connects to Chinatown along with wayfinding, art, lighting, and signage is going to help enormously to provide the economic benefit that we have all been talking about.
We've already said
We're
that.
not supporting that. We all want that. That's why we're doing the resolution.
Said that.
Added into the resolution. We're not saying that the cars will not.
This is a resolution, not saying anything
I
that
would
we don't
love to have
support.
that as a point. I would love.
It was in our first resolution about Chinatown connections in the SIP. What we want to put in this is with the current thing that they've brought us, we appreciate all the work and effort they've done. Here are the changes we'd like to see, or here are our concerns, because they're already doing it. We're already moving. So let's keep going on the process, talk about the change.
Okay, the other thing is that we only have 16% car ownership in Lower Manhattan.
But that's not our issue.
My God. Okay, so the other thing is that we have 20% of our immediate neighbors within a half-mile radius of the Brooklyn Bridge are seniors, a lot of whom are mobility challenged, most of whom are using walkers and or walking back and
So
forth.
this is what
under
Betty
this
said
area.
about the.
And so what I am going to request is that you take that into consideration, add seating along the route, add planting for shade, right, where the seating happens to be, add lighting because it is a safety issue. And while we know that NYPD has a plethora of cameras there, it doesn't feel safe and like a place you want to be late
And
at
that's a
night.
repeat of the first ask that we
Okay.
made.
And the last thing related to lighting is that you actually, thank you very much, Eric, have lights there. They are just frequently not turned on. And that's not to say that that's sufficient lighting, but at the very least, as a temporary, like sort of Band-Aid, it would be awesome if we could turn the lighting on both in the underpass area under 1PP as well as underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. Because there's lots of them frequently. I've now noticed there are more turned on. Before, it was always just 2.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you. We've been letting all of them, like today, they were not all turned on, like maybe 50%, but there was another day I saw all of them. And I was like, it's like Ed's coming to visit.
And that's actually, no joke. Those are exactly the same kind of asks that we made the first time around when you presented about the SIP, is that we were very interested in plantings and lighting, in seating along the way, because it's a long haul from point A to point D, to get down Park Row. If you're trying to connect.
To respond, we did take that into consideration. That's why we're putting a request to turn on the lighting on the bridge. And believe me, it's not an easy process, even just turning on the light. But like, luckily, we were able to do that, and we did hear you, and we did take actions, and just
Hook them up to a
understand.
nice Alexa, we'll call it Ed. You can tell I'm tired. All right.
Thank you. We
All
do
right,
appreciate
with
it.
that, all of those are great, and it's a repeat of what we've asked in some ways, which supports a lot of the asks. So can I take a vote?
Yeah, and everything else that we mentioned from, I mean, I have them all down.
I've got seating and plantings, I've got repair and change the bulbs on the underpass by the Brooklyn Bridge, more than the minimum curb cuts, not just a minimum, but as wide as possible. Walk through for a lighting, see where more opportunities to add more, frequent placement of curb cuts for maximum mobility and transit. Connect the bike lanes and that they are not fragmented over by Frankfurt. An open call ended on 5/5 for the art. We recognize a great robust turnout of 165 applications. We'd like, once curated, to be part of the review process. and improve health hazards by removing the pigeonholes. And we have you know, liaison with the appropriate agencies to cure that to be a more.
I mean, I assume you have the review of the SIP toolkit, the
Yeah,
implementation of all the resiliency measures we spoke about in terms of both the asphalt, you know, any kind of greening that can be done, just the items that Rosa just mentioned. As a possibility, I know I mentioned the looking at battery storage and more bike stations if they're needed, or at least to review that with us. The hope that in the future presentations, there's more clarity in the presentation with more three-dimensional drawings and modeling so that we can better understand some of these conditions. An emergency plan, I think Eric had asked, or somebody was asking about, you know, what happens when the bus is stopped and you can't move, you know, some sense of understanding of what the emergency traffic plan would be. You had asked for congestion pricing, you know, how would how this might be affected, you know, this plan, and you said you would look into it.
We also request for the bike team to come and present the larger plans they have for the area.
And the consideration of the off-ramp as having another use and, you know, as a potential viewing platform or as another use. I don't want to bring up anything that's controversial here.
We'll just say alternate uses of
Right.
a closed off ramp.
And, I mean, I'm sure there's other things in the tape you'll be able to listen to, but I think, I think those were most of the police plaza entry, and looking at to police plaza.
Police plaza entry
And a more,
and a follow-up from the last resolution.
Yeah.
Can I flag one quick thing? Put down whatever you want, all that's fine.
Sure.
I would like to flag that we can make wider pedestrian ramps for Betty's request. That is something we can probably do. That said, the wider they get, the more inviting they become to act like driveways. And then, you know, we've had a theme about police, police being sort of everywhere. And inviting them to drive up onto the sidewalk feels a little counterproductive to some of the themes I've heard tonight. So please consider that as you write the resolution.
Really talk about the dimension then.
I mean, isn't there like the standard?
Yes, if there's something that.
Well, the problem is, the problem what they're talking about, and Betty can speak to this very well, is by doing the minimum, you prevent a car from going, cool, that's a driveway I can access. By doing the maximum, you get the ability for somebody in a scooter like Betty and somebody with a stroller to be able to pass on a curb cut potentially, or do more than one people. You know, the concern is.
It's like what we do now on the sidewalk. I mean, I was thinking it was too narrow. Yeah.
Population. Betty, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, the point is well taken, but I almost got hit on the sidewalk on Chambers Street because the NYPD SUV drove up the existing standard size curb cut. So believe me, they aren't put off at all by the size.
If you want to drive anywhere, if you want to drive on the sidewalk, you're gonna drive on the sidewalk.
Right, and they do the same thing in Battery Park City on River Terrace. So I that isn't a real concern because if they want to drive, they're going to drive it anyway.
Right, and I mean, there's at some point we can't solve all the problems in the world, that's why I was like, just consider this in your language.
Maybe
If you still want to do it.
Maybe it's a maybe it's a look at, it's a conversation with the mayor's office of accessibility, what they do, what statistics they have, what works, what doesn't, and just one all.
Something new in the toolkit.
Yeah, right, a new in the toolkit.
With all of those, do I, and Rosa is representing land use, youth and ed.
Youth and ed?
Yep.
Land use or.
One other thing was that you had agreed as public realm to come back and talk about pedestrian plazas.
Yes,
In
so
Manhattan.
But that'll be something that we follow by email.
Yeah.
I just wanted on record.
Yeah,
Here.
Kate
And Emily Weidenhauer, right?
Weidenhower.
And is that like BJ's Realm, that his new whole thing, open space?
No, he's
No.
New York. He's not public realm. Emily, you want Emily?
You
I
want
want
Emily.
Yeah.
Great. With all that, can I get a vote? Can I get a call for a question?
I call the question.
Second. Okay, perfect. So, we're by affirmation. Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Are there any recusals? Motion passes.
Do we
Thank
need
you.
to ask the?
They can unmute their, I see their cameras, they're on good bits.
Everything.
You're well spoken.
Yeah,
You're
Rachel.
simple.
How does she start that?
Thank you. Thank you. And good night. We're gonna stop
Good
recording.
night, everyone.
We did
We're
already.
meeting at the plaza.
Right.
And then, you have Emily's contact.
Thank you.
Or you can add her.